Hi muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing very well. Apologies for continuing to wear my sunglasses, but my eye is still recovering from surgery. I am about 5 days away from not having to wear sunglasses. I'm so excited, but for now my eye is incredibly sensitive and looks very hideous under here. So I thought I would, jazz it up a little bit with this incredibly camp cat sweater that I find in a vintage thrift shop. So what do we think? I love it. I love the story. I love how hideous it is. I saw it, my friends made fun of it, and I went, what you find laughter in, I find beauty in. Quote that one. Quote that one. Hope you're all doing well. I'm really excited to be filming videos again. Recovery for my eye is going really great. Thank you so much to everyone for all the love and all the support. But today, we have got to get cracking. There is so much happening that there is no such thing as downtime when it comes to recovering from an eye surgery, because we've got to get to the topics. A lot is going on. It is a mess. It's actually one of the messiest times I've seen on YouTube, and I've been doing drama and commentary for quite some time, but I really haven't seen anything like this. We have MrBeast responding, and then we have other people exposing other people, and then other people exposing other people, and people are coming for Rosanna, people are coming for Dogpack, people are coming for MrBeast, people are coming for other employees that are involved. A lot of stuff is getting leaked. There's lawsuits, there's new possible lawsuits. I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen anything like it, and it's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna get worse. And today, we are going to watch the MrBeast. We're going to lock in, and we have to lock in. I promised you that I was going to watch the entire interview, the MrBeast, because I only think it's fair to cover all bases, to cover all, perspectives. I did a little recap video from like a couple topics he talked about a couple days ago, but I'm diving in today, and it's long, and we've got to lock in, and I'm here to do it, and I hope you're here with me so that we're in this moment together, okay? Now, also, if you bought tickets to the London or Dublin show that I am doing, if you send me confirmation, I will send you in the mail a signed art card from either London, that's Dublin, or London. Just let me know, send me confirmation of your ticket, and I will send you them. I sent a bunch off today. I have 50 of each. So if you want one and you have bought tickets to the London or Dublin shows, let me know on social media and I will get these your way. I'm doing it to the London Dublin ones because the postage is like super cheap for me, so I'm able to do that. But yes, we added shows in London and Dublin. I can't believe I'm having a little homecoming moment in Dublin. Obviously, I am Irish. On March 10th at O'Reilly Theatre. London, we are doing March 9th. Oh my god, I'm so close to London right now. I live in Brighton. I can't believe I'm doing a show there. It's gonna be so chaotic. March 9th, London, Smith Square Hall. And of course, we have tickets still available for Dallas on February 25th, LA on February 23rd, Seattle on the 21st, Chicago on the 19th, and kicking it all off, Brooklyn on February 18th. I'm very excited. I cannot wait, but we have got to get into this interview. I'm trying to get comfortable because we've got to lock in. This is 2.5 hours. We're definitely going to be speeding it up. Don't you worry. I just need to figure out to what degree we're going to be speeding it up, but baby, we're going to be speeding it up. God, I love this sweater. Love it. Love it. Also, I'm vlogging every day on my second channel. That'll be pinned down below as well. If you are into vlogs or anything like that, any extra content, it'll all be down there. All right, let's get into this. Oompaville, MrBeast response. Okay, let's figure out to what degree we're going to speed this up.
Well,
we can definitely speed it up more than that. Come on, let's push for 1.5.
MrBeast is currently on a private jet on his way to where I live in Central Texas.
Okay, that's good. Can we push for 175?
To have a conversation with me with the intention of addressing the controversy that he's been involved in over the last few months. And I think that it's important for me to document my intentions before embarking on this.
It's really quick. I feel like people will have a problem with it. Fuck, okay, we'll do 1.5. All right. Oh!
Be willing to put your hand on this Bible and swear?
Oh my gosh, you actually have a Bible?
I have 2 Bibles.
Are you being serious?
I am being serious.
Okay.
I'm swear. We're both from the South. This will be an honest video.
Oh, your laptop's blocking it.
Oh, well, this will be an honest video. You're a man from North Carolina. I'm from Virginia.
The Bible Belt.
The Bible Belt,
Yep.
exactly.
I know
And
what this means.
this means it's legit.
What does Bible Belt mean? Am I supposed to be putting my hand on a Bible? I do not own one, I apologize. But I do have a version of Mariah Carey's album Caution, which in my books is very similar.
Okay.
There we go.
I was not expecting that.
Okay. This is like legal now.
It is. I can go to jail.
The first biggest question for me and a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last couple months is like, why were you so silent? Especially off the bat. Like, you did respond to the Ava Tyson stuff immediately, but like, you know, right after that, a bunch of other stuff.
Well, not immediately.
Dawson's video, his first video, gained a bunch of traction. What was your reasoning for being so silent immediately?
No, that's a great question to kick it off on. You actually kind of laid out the timeline there. The Ava stuff came out, and I put out that tweet. We hired the investigators to go look into it. And part of that investigation is they recommended that I not talk about drama or really do anything online because it might...
Also, I saw a lot of people be like, he's lying there. No, it's pretty common knowledge that if you, specifically your company is under investigation, you shouldn't be saying much publicly. So that does check out and make sense for those who were doubting that.
Influence, witnesses or any people they might interview or ex-employees. So it's a little unfortunate because I told them, okay, I'll wait till the investigation is over. I believe that was literally like a week before the dog fact video came out. And then truthfully, just in transparency, I've never done one of these like big investigations before. And in my head, it was going to last like 2 or 3 weeks. It ended up taking a couple months. Apparently combing through all the documents and doing all the interviews and everything just took way longer than I thought because I've never had to bring in a top tier law firm and a former federal prosecutor and let him, do this really big thing. And so that kind of concluded a couple weeks ago when I put out the tweet of the follow-up. Like that was the day I got the conclusion of it. And I was like, okay.
And we've gone through that as well.
So up until that point, it was, I told Quin Emanuel that, to protect the integrity, I wouldn't do anything or engage in any of this drama. And then after that, like you said, a lot of stuff had come out between when the investigation started and when it ended. And I was just kind of like, whoa, I don't really know how to like hit this stuff. And I made like a little response video, but that's just kind of not my style, where I just kind of like put a lot of the information that I assume we're going to talk about here out, and it just felt weird. Truthfully, I've never been in a situation where people have thrown this much stuff at me, and I definitely.
What I will say is this is a very clever PR move. At most, whatever way you look at it, right? And we know that if you like MrBeast, you'll find a way of excusing anything he does. If you don't like him, you'll find a way to hate on whatever he does or call him out for things, right? So I'm trying to come at this from like a middle ground and have an opinion on it. But what I will say is it is incredibly clever for MrBeast to do this sit down with... I've read online that Oompa is a respected creator. I know a lot of people were saying they really like Oompa. And do a very long interview. Like, this is a very clever PR idea because you're doing it on the platform that you need to pander towards. Like, we, the audience, will watch this. We, the audience, may not read an article response, or we, the audience, may not read a tweet, this is personable and is on the platform in which he wants people to know his version of the story. This was a very clever and very strategic move from MrBeast and his team. And keep in mind, there is a team behind this.
Could have.
That doesn't make it bad. It just makes it smart.
A little bit better. Like, I probably should have, like, the second I could have talked, like, I don't remember the exact date, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we put that report out. Probably should have done something like this right then. If I could go back in time, I would. And yeah, that's kind of like the brain dump, and then here I am.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, you answered it towards the end, but like, do you regret that, obviously?
Yeah, if I could go back in time, I would do what we're doing here, because I assume this is like the correct format. It's going to be a little bit more free-flowing and natural, and I wouldn't have wasted so much time like trying to do a response. It's just not my thing. I like so much better, or I'm assuming, we just started, but I think I'm going to like so much better being asked the questions and answer it instead of just like sitting in a chair like this, answering it. It just feels a little more natural.
Gotcha.
This way he gets to put his leg up.
That does line up, obviously, with what's happened, and it makes sense, and I definitely... I feel like, before talking to you, I definitely...
A lot of people were saying as well, they were expressing frustration with the fact that apparently Oompa doesn't push back on a lot. I have seen another perspective of that where people are saying that Oompa apparently didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this as well. So I want to keep both sides of that open to interpretation as well.
Imagine that you would regret have not making a response early.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Like that, because that could have, you could have just immediately, if there was information to debunk Dogpack's his first video off the bat.
Yeah, which obviously had so much disinformation in it. If anyone saw Sagi's video or any of the newer videos now coming out, you would see so much. So much of it. So it's... Yeah.
We watched Sagi's video, and also, by the way, if someone's going to comment, people always do, and they're like, just play the video. You are watching a commentary video. Don't piss me off. Don't piss me off. Oh my God, so many people commented that on one of my recent videos where I was watching Sagi's, and they were like, just play the video. Go and watch the original. Oh my God. Please. Please. So if I'm stopping and talking, that's what we do here. People were discrediting Sagi's video by saying that MrBeast paid for it, paid for his flights out. And honestly, my perspective on that is I don't care if MrBeast paid for flights. I don't care if MrBeast fucking paid him to make the video. Whatever. It showed evidence that supports the theory that Dogpack lied about a lot, manipulated a lot, and I don't care if someone paid for that video, I don't care, whatever. It allowed me to form a different opinion with new information. Maybe unpopular opinion. I don't care if it was paid for.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it happened on the back end of when I was said I would not talk about or address drama and things. And I mean, there's obviously, should have done this sooner. Whoops, but hey, better late than never.
Yeah. Did you think it would get this big?
No, I mean, truthfully, I thought, like, if you watch Soggy's video or any of these other videos that are coming out now showing all the discrepancies, I honestly thought a lot of people would find, like, the information proving the dishonesty earlier. Yeah, like, because a lot of this could have been, just figure out Google. A lot of this could, and now, I also have to be clear, like, I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying I've never done anything wrong, and you can't criticize me. Like, there are things I deserve criticism for, and I'm sure we'll get to some of those things in here, but there are a lot of things that are just not true, and, on those things, like, I mean, we'll just get to it throughout this because I'm sure you're going to ask the questions. But there's just a lot of disinformation that was easily proven. Like the big one that, I mean, videos with tens of millions of views collectively, claiming I called a guy Delaware because he...
Spillsash!
Like, that is not true. His name was just Delaware. I didn't, call him Delaware to make fun of him or anything. And, I mean, I'm sure you're going to ask about it later. But like, there's literally... He was in a video before I hired him working at Best Buy wearing a name tag that said Delaware. And, like, that was public information. And, like, anyone could have saw that. And, like, even during when that was, like, getting shared a lot a couple months ago, I even sent that to a couple of YouTubers. I was like, hey, just so you know, like, I didn't call him Delaware because of this messed up thing. Like, that was just his name, and here's proof.
Also, he's openly saying that he is sending things to YouTubers. And again, maybe unpopular opinion, I don't see anything wrong with that. This is not the first time that YouTubers have messaged commentary channels, drama channels, whatever, the same way they reach out to journalists with information. I'm not saying commentary or drama channels or journalists by any fucking degree. But all I'm saying is they get information out there. And I don't see anything wrong with MrBeast DMing a YouTuber to cover a video or giving information. Maybe I'm so wrong here, but this isn't the first time this has happened, and it's actually very normal, and I think people are just putting up a front of being so annoyed that it's MrBeast. Listen, have your problems with MrBeast, but also acknowledge that he's doing a pretty common thing that people do. So I never saw an issue with him doing that. I need to watch Spillsash's video. Apparently he messaged her and she made a video on it, and people were super pissed that he reached out to her and stuff. Obviously, I don't know what the video is any further than that. I need to watch it, but I don't see a problem with a creator, especially of his size, being like, hey, would you cover this if they've covered the latter? I don't see a problem with it. You know what I mean? The YouTuber can choose whether or not they want to cover it. I don't see it as a problem. Make up your own mind on whether you want to cover stuff. Don't be influenced by a YouTuber telling you what to do or what not to do. They're allowed to fucking ask you. They're allowed to tell you. You're allowed to not do it.
And I guess I probably shouldn't say the name of the creators, but like one of them literally just said to me, like, well, it's not really cool to like you or defend you right now, so I don't really care whether or not it's true, or I don't want to take the video down because then people are going to think I'm controlled opposition. I was like, whoa. And then also, like, that same photo, are you going to, like, throw some things on the screen for that?
Definitely.
Yeah, so throw it on the screen. That same photo, right after that second dog pack video, started to get traction on Reddit and saying, like, hey, this is a lie. Jimmy didn't call him Delaware to make fun of him, committing a crime in Delaware. That's just his name. And it got taken down by the mods on r/YouTube drama. And that's when I
did see that as well.
Anytime there's a post proving like that I'm not evil, they were taking it down. So it was a little unfortunate too, because I wasn't saying anything. And then on Reddit, anytime something was proving that I wasn't evil or contrarian to what everyone was saying, they were suppressing it or censoring it, not trying to sound extreme.
So you're saying it's like a echo chamber, which I mean, Reddit r/YouTube drama is.
Yeah, I know, but it's unfortunate when there's a post with 10,000 upvotes claiming something false about you, and then everyone, then a couple people are like, wait, that's not true. Here's proof, and then they delete it every time. So then everyone's like, okay, well then that must be true because they're also deleting the comments on that post that prove it's not. So then then it's just like now. Again, I'm not trying to sound extreme, but it's just like, oh, you're censoring information. And then that paired with other YouTubers, when I would call them and share with them, they'd just be like, well, I don't want to be a MrBeast Glazer, so I don't really... They wouldn't say this direct, but they're just essentially say, like, I don't really care if it's true or not.
Also said, this is my last video, I want to clarify, I have never been reached out to MrBeast, nor would MrBeast ever be able to sway me. I don't give a fuck like that.
Say what other people say, like, sorry.
Do you have evidence of, like, people, there being posts that existed and then didn't exist on Reddit that
of course. Yeah, I can send you...
Yeah, if you send me anything...
You can throw it up on screen. I mean, that's not, like, a conspiracy theory. That's
of course, yeah.
We can find quite a few.
There's an entire doc. MrBeast provided evidence. Oh, wow. Got it. Wow. Okay, wow. Him/his team have compiled a lot of evidence of things in support of him or showing his perspective being suppressed or deleted. Wow, 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 wow. I mean, it was probably necessary for him to do that.
Good at using Google.
Yeah.
I'll need you to help me with that. Yeah, so to circle back to the Quin Emanuel investigation, the big thing on the internet, on Twitter specifically, was that you found yourself to be innocent. Of course, you paid a law firm to find yourself innocent.
I saw those memes, yeah.
There's the big meme. How would you respond to the allegation that the investigation was biased from the start?
Yeah. So first off, to just set the foundation, I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, of course, Jimmy did an internal investigation and found himself, they didn't find any wrongdoing," which is also not true. Which I assume we'll go into that more later. They did find some wrongdoing, just not in regards to like the serious Ava allegation. So that's a false truth. And then on top of that, it wasn't an internal investigation; it was an external investigation, which is clearly laid out in the things we showed.
Yeah, a third-party investigation.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, it is a little bit of a like. A lot of people I saw were saying like, well, you paid them. And it's like, well, yeah, top tier lawyers and federal prosecutors don't work for free, so I have to pay them.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to debunk that one. I mean, it just is what it is. But yeah, we hired Quin, which is one of the top law firms in the world. Like, I mean, it was very expensive, but I intentionally picked them because they have a reputation and they're not just going to destroy their entire business to be biased towards me. You know what I mean? And then it was led by a former federal prosecutor who did the whole thing. I mean, it was pretty intense. I mean, they did tons of interviews. I mean, transparently, they even like scanned my phone. Like they have messages I sent to my girlfriend, and I'm like, why is this even relevant? They're like, I mean, if you want a thorough one and you want us to like be confident in what we're saying, we need to see everything. Like they went pretty hardcore on it, which is why it ended up taking a couple months. Because truthfully, when I started this process, I didn't realize like how intense it was. But I gave them the reins to everything, and yeah, it took longer than I thought. But I don't know. I mean, is there any like how else do I prove it? Besides, I mean, I think another thing that missing context people don't have is like if they found anything illegal, they're obligated to report it to the police. Like
right.
this like that's how these things work when they do these investigations. It's not like they could be like, hey Jimmy, we found this illegal thing. We'll just sweep it on the rug.
But it's all right because you paid us.
Yeah, like so it's just in every way. I just don't think people understand. Like it's it was obviously Quin Emanuel. That's why we paid them, and it was pretty thorough. And
yeah. So I mean, those are two things that make sense, right? We just covered two back-to-back things that make sense. A, you waited a long time for the investigation.
Also, a very valid point that he's making. People did give criticism by being like, "Oh, so you paid someone to do an investigation to find yourself innocent?" Well, yeah, he and his company need to pay them because these people don't work for free. And who else is going to do the investigation if they're not hiring a firm to do it? Obviously, you could say someone else could hire them or whatever, but they are hiring one of the biggest ones in the entertainment industry as well. So what he's saying there makes sense in terms of the investigation.
Like a very reputable...
And they did find wrongdoing in the company as well. They did find wrongdoing. I remember reading it. They did find wrongdoing in the company.
Things make sense logically from your perspective, but also optically from the outside looking in. For people who are just seeing the allegations, they're like, "Oh, this guy looks guilty."
Yeah,
he's building this big sort of law team, and he's not responding, and he's like, so it's kind of bizarre and unfortunate because like it does make sense, like from a logical perspective.
Because there's two things I could do. I could do an internal investigation,
yeah,
but that's
great
because I don't want to audit myself.
Let your mom do it.
Yeah, exactly. Let my mom do it, or I could do an external one. That's what we did. And again, it's like because I didn't have control over it. Obviously, if I did, I would be like, "Bro, do this in 2 weeks so I can get this out there." Like I didn't want it to take months, but I mean that's part of an external investigation. You don't have control over it.
Now, would you consider? So you obviously regret the remaining silent. Would you consider that the third-party investigation as a whole, looking back, would that have been? Would you say that's a mistake?
No, I just think I would push back on like, do I really have to be silent? Like, can I just like do this thing? Like go clap back on some of these things. But like some of these things, people were apparently talking to ex-employees or whatever, and so it just gets muddy because I really didn't want the integrity of the investigation to like be in question or anything. So I was like super paranoid where I was like, okay, this is what they said. I don't want to push back or anything. But yeah, obviously in hindsight, like. I mean, a lot of these things are just blatantly lies. Like, if I just clap back instantly, people were just like, okay, cool, and moved on.
Would you consider making some details of the investigation that have yet to be seen in public? Obviously, there's like a level of confidentiality that is required legally.
Exactly, yeah.
But like, is there anything?
Well, that's the thing. Like, what we put out as much as we could, but I mean, obviously, they did dozens of interviews, including alleged people who were victims, and I mean, like I said, my message with my girlfriend, like they gathered a lot. So I don't really think I can. I mean, there's a lot of sensitive data and information in there.
What about like a just to back up your claims to their
but things on like how like they did it independently and they weren't biased. Like that's I mean, I don't really know what people want to see, but yeah, I mean, we can figure it out.
Just from what I know about like retainer contracts with lawyers and working with third-party investigations, things like which I don't have any experience with anything that big, obviously.
Yeah.
But maintaining a level of compliance, like. I mean, if there's like a retainer contract, something showing that you shouldn't.
Now this is where I'm ignorant. Like I don't even know really what a retainer contract is. But I mean, like if there's any way I could, of course.
Like your third party saying, Jimmy, don't talk. Like just basically giving credence to what you're saying, even more,
gotcha.
so, more evidence of what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something I'd have to like go talk to the team on. But,
Yeah,
I mean,
that would help.
If that's something where people desperately.
Again, we have statements here from the external, not internal, investigation. So he has provided that.
Want transparency. I mean, we can figure something out.
Yeah, that would just help me. I'm not sure if people, honestly, I don't know if people would give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I would
because if people are like, we think Quin Emanuel's biased, like even no matter what I show them, if they think a top tier law firm would willingly potentially tank their rep for me, like I don't know if there's anything that's ever
it's
going
foolish,
to convince them.
right?
Yeah,
it is foolish, and it makes sense. But once again, it's like optically, there is a very easy, lowest common denominator way to look at stuff.
Yeah. And also, what I would say to those people is, I'm here, so it's not like I'm like maybe that argument would work if I just never did anything, but I'm here, so.
In the lion's den.
Yes. Controlled opposition towards me. Hey, also, I'd love to say, I don't know if he's posting this chronologically or not, but I mean, he also did interview Dogpack multiple times. So it's because I could have done this with anyone, but I think this one makes sense because you've literally had the other side on here. So
yeah, and also, to be clear as well, I have not signed.
Wow, that's a great point. I did not know that he did interviews with Dogpack. Is this it?
Say,
Is the whole purpose of
I assume it's here somewhere. I love these thumbnails. So anyways, him interviewing Dogpack's really interesting. And it's really interesting, again, that MrBeast chose him because it makes more sense from a PR perspective to speak to someone who's spoken to your op in a way.
like an NDA or
Fuck.
I mean, there's genuinely nothing that's been signed. You haven't given me $1 million.
No. Hey, you should say I haven't given you a penny.
A penny. Okay, yeah.
You gave me 999.
Nothing. You've given me nothing, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually just, it's kind of interesting. It really is interesting. This is a bold move, I would consider. It's quite a bold move.
And it's even more bold because I'm never vulnerable on camera. And like,
yes, it's from a lot of perspectives. It is quite bold, and it's not like I haven't been critical. I feel like I've been fairly critical. I feel, and like talking to you, I feel bad. You know, obviously because I'm a person. There's different levels to how much you care about shit.
Yeah.
I think it is. If there were a testament, it would be that would be a testament to this being being a meaningful source of information in this video. I feel like. I hope.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is definitely outside my comfort zone, but I think it's important.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so that's kind of past like the main initial allegations. We can move on
Not us twinning with the same lighting. Two divas. A diva off.
to sort of corporate culture and HR practices. That's been a big sort of point that a lot of critics have hammered home.
Yep.
We're
just getting right into the hard hitting stuff.
hell yeah. So there have been a lot of questions about your workplace culture, such as a lack of diversity or also HR problems.
Yeah.
What, if anything, have you done to address these concerns? How have you handled it since information came out, and how do you plan on handling it in the future?
Okay, so we'll start with the diversity one. If I forget the HR one, just bring it up when I finish that one. Diversity, I have seen a lot of people mention that about our company, which, I mean, that one's just not even true. Like, I mean, Feastables, for example, a couple months old, but like almost 70% of our company is women. We actually, because we do dub studios around the world, now zooming out of Feastables over to content, I mean, we actually have pretty crazy amount of diversity in our company. So, because, we have 400 people that work for me. It's not just me and the boys on the camera, which is the 5 you see. So that one, the few people have claimed that, like, they don't have any data to back it up. So I guess I probably should have brought some data here. I don't want to just say percentages off the top of my head.
If you have, I'm sure you've got some kind of
but I really, that one, I just
Okay, so now we just have his opinion and other people's opinions. So you do with that what you will. I assume a lot of this is going to be that where we hear his take on it and we know other people's take on it and we just have to believe who we want to believe.
don't think it's rooted in anything. And then what was the second part?
HR, yeah. How have you handled HR problems? What HR problems?
Oh, yeah. So that one, I mean, it's a little bit of a general question, but yeah, I mean, obviously, in general, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of things about, HR stuff in my company. And I think one thing people don't have is just the context. Like, I think they think my channel is just like 5 people or 10 people or 20, whatever. Like, they don't realize the size of it. Like, specifically, because our videos have gotten so big, I mean, I'm going to give a little range because depending on how many people we've hired in the last month, it's somewhere between like 250 or 300 people work at my production company. So this is a big company. There's a lot of people. And then on top of that, when we do like bigger videos where we need to build big sets or whatever, sometimes we bring in hundreds of contractors. So there's a lot of people that work here. And like, I just want to blanketly say, like, companies at this size, like, you can't ever guarantee that every interaction everyone's going to have is always going to be positive with each other. That's just impossible. So I want to start off by just saying that because I don't want people to watch this and then like a year from now, like hear some rumor and be like, oh, Jimmy didn't learn. Like, any company of this size, there's always going to be some problem someone has. Now, having said that, I'm not trying to use it as like a blanket of like, see, and shield myself. There are two things that are like someone in my position who runs a company like this is in control of. One is, making sure we're not fostering anything inappropriate and allowing it. And then two, when it inevitably happens, because it just will in a company my size. And I'm trying to be transparent here. Like, it's, how do you respond to it? And then and then making sure you're not fostering it. Part of Quin Emanuel, when we had them do their investigation, is I had them look at every system in my company. I had them talk to my employees and see if there's anything they could bring to Quin Emanuel's attention that they could make me aware of. And I think it was in the report is like we established an anonymous hotline because Quin Emanuel showed me data that like sometimes people don't feel comfortable talking to HR or their boss. And like if you have an anonymous hotline that goes to someone outside the company that can hear a complaint and then beam it into you without disclosing who it was, like you'll get more honest feedback, because there's so they showed us a lot of things like that.
Okay, and if that's true, then that's great. I think what he said there's very interesting. God, I love this sweater. Oh, love it. I need to bring this to New York. Are you fucking kidding me? This is so diva. What he said there's really interesting, where he's saying that a company of his size will be bound to have problems. That factually, with that amount of people, that amount of money, power, is true. Him focusing on like, how does he not foster that was a very good move here. And if that hotline has been set up and people can complain to an outside source and then it's pushed back in, obviously we don't know how he handles that, but at least it's something, at a bare minimum, it's being talked about now. It should have been from the start. But what he said is interesting about putting that many people and expecting it's going to be smooth sailing. It's just about not promoting it or fostering that. It's a fair point. Obviously, we're not in the company. We're not an employee, so we can't make a firm stance on that. But if there are changes happening, then obviously that is good and necessary.
Also, making sure we're not fostering it. Like I think it's also in there as well. We leveled up like our C-suite, because I've had a lot of people that have grown with me, but like me, they've never ran a company that has hundreds of employees before. So I actually just hired a couple people who have worked on Fortune 500 companies who have actually ran companies of this size before. And so, they've shown me lots of things that bigger companies do that obviously I'm just ignorant on because I'm a YouTuber. You know what I mean? I spend my life staring at retention charts and CTR, not how to structure a business. So just that's phase one, is making sure you're not fostering, a culture that supports that stuff. And then inevitably, like I said, you can't ever guarantee when you're working with hundreds of people full time. And then when you add part-time people, potentially over 1,000 sometimes, you just got to make sure if there are issues that, actual real issues, like if someone complains because someone peed on a toilet seat, like I'm not, oh well. But if there's an actual serious issue, then, we'll bring in professionals who experience and, getting down to it, interview them, gather the information. I'll recuse myself. I don't want to be the arbiter of truth. And then, those experts who are experienced in handling those things, they'll tell me how to handle it. If they tell me to fire someone, I fire them. If they tell me to whatever, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I don't want to be the one who makes those decisions. So, and transparency, that's kind of,
So so I think this is one where a lot of YouTubers, people who have covered this type of thing, don't really understand that HR is a real living and breathing organism in business, and if you don't maintain it, it can become a problem for a normal business. But when your business is someone like you whose reputation is on the line, I also have like a bunch of businesses. I've got 60 employees, and we have an HR department, and like something happens once a month where someone gets an anonymous report, and then we have to solve that problem, and we actually
you're evil.
Yeah, and that's that's how it feels sometimes. But I'm not involved obviously in that stuff, and my YouTube side is very compartmentalized. So the way that I do that, it makes sense to me. I want to be as detached as much as possible from day-to-day operations of like the actual business. You're saying you're running the company. Is there a world in which what is your job title? Is there a world in which you step back and you are just like not an actor necessarily, but you're the guy, you're MrBeast, and you let the business be operated by an entity to where you can stand beside it essentially instead of being at the head of it?
No. That's a really good question, and he's obviously saying no, which kind of in a way contradicts his point, because it's a really good point of, well, if you don't want to be the one making decisions, are you more so just the actor on camera? That's a really good point, and the fact he's saying no is quite shocking there. I don't know why he's not just kind of agreeing, even, I guess he's being honest, but that was such a good point of, well, if you don't want to make decisions, then you're not the head of the company, or you're not at least acting like one.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's my channel, it's my company, so I wouldn't take it that far. I think like the big thing is just bringing in people who have actually ran a company at this size before, because eventually I will be more educated and knowledgeable. Like every day I'm learning more on like how to properly run a company with hundreds of people and better do it, but I'm still very ignorant. Like I probably crossed 100 employees like 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, but it's still just growing. So like, because across everything, if you include Feastables and ViewStats, we have over 400 employees. So it's a learning thing. But that's the thing. While I'm learning, I need to bring in people who have been there and learn from them.
Yeah, because there's no replacement for this experience, right?
Exactly.
Like, you can be as smart as anybody, but if you haven't been able to go through the things you've gone through and like things just personally that I know that I've gone through and learned from business, it's not possible to know. It's not possible to know how to react to those things, or that's why I sort of try to do my best to compartmentalize my business. Obviously, different beast than what you're operating.
Beast.
Yeah, it's just it's difficult, and it does make sense. And you
put me in a room with these divas. I can kiki with them.
Sort of how changes are made after this, which you've already made a lot of changes. Obviously, anonymous reporting is the biggest one for HR. That's like been
and it's like that's one of those things where like it's not like I was like, oh, we don't need. I just didn't know. Like I never seen the data they showed me, and like if any other people have this kind of stuff, like I'm always open to learning.
Of course, yeah. And I think the most important thing too is like at the end of the day, you've got the most to gain from all this.
Exactly. I want my employees happy. I gain nothing out of them not being happy. Like it hurts me. It's like I have a monetary incentivization to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like the criticism of entities like yours and even mine, with truth, obviously, and like logic, and there's a real basis, a rationale that makes sense, that's centered in reality. I feel like that's super important because once again, you have so much to gain, and like you spend less, you make a little bit less money, but your employees are substantially happier and they feel safer or just more confident in you as their leader or their boss. So it's like it's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how all this kind of goes from here after this one, especially.
Yeah,
because it's a big moment.
I know. The interview, the day of the interview.
But that makes sense though. I mean, and like I don't want to continuously interject my own business experience, but I think it does set me apart from other YouTubers who are involved in this, in that I do have business experience. From it's sort of the same thing. I just fell into running actual businesses and having to do payroll and HR, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
I had no idea any of this stuff existed, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get fucked. Your mom was previously head of your HR department, and some people have criticized that as a conflict of interest. Did you personally, at the time, even consider that? And do you now also acknowledge that is a conflict of interest?
Oh, I agree. That's a dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
I do think context matters though, because like this is where a lot of these things that I assume we're going to talk about is like people conflate current MrBeast with 400 employees and spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year with MrBeast when he's a teenager and starting. I mean, when I first started hiring people, it was like, oh, we went to high school together. You want to help me make videos? And I hired a couple of my friends from high school. And then I was like, how do I do taxes and this kind of stuff? And I was like, Mom, help. And so, I mean, I wouldn't
for back then, if we're sticking with the context of when he was starting, that context is important and makes sense. You know why? Because for the first couple of years of me doing, obviously I'm not a company in terms of MrBeast with all these employees, but for my first couple of years, my mom did all of my business when it came to filing my taxes, when it came to, you know, all these different things. Whereas now I like hire an accountant and I have a lawyer and, you know, I have people that they're not full-time employed, but like, I guess I work with them and I pay them whenever I need them. That is my YouTube now. You know what I mean? Like I have a lawyer now. I have an accountant now. I have a financial advisor. But back then, that was just my mom. So the context he's giving for the start of his career makes sense. Obviously, if she was a thing later on in the career when it's getting too big, that's a conflict of interest and he deserved to be called out for that. But in the context of all in which you came before you, coconut tree, haven't said that one in a while. It makes sense.
I'd say she's head of HR. I mean, she was, I guess, but she's also running finance, and you know, it's not like a real company. We just get in this like little $700 or no, actually that one was $1,080 a month office I was renting, and I'd just be like to this one guy that I knew from high school, all right, today you're gonna go paint this thing. Today, you friend number 2, you're gonna like help me edit this, and you friend number 3, you're gonna go to the store and buy 1,000 chickens that like scream when you press down on them. And mom, I don't know, just make sure the iOS does it to me. Like that's the time frame we're talking about here. But yes, I agree. Like it's stupid. Like you definitely shouldn't have your mom as an HR person. You just hire someone who was educated in HR, which is obviously what we have. We have an HR team now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think, and that's
Good point.
Weird things from just a business perspective. Once again, it's like someone becomes HR by default, even if you don't say, "Well, this is the HR person. This is our
I
contact."
mean, because like back then, it's like, I mean, you got a problem, just tell me. There's like 5 of us.
That's great.
But yes, but still, I'm like, in this, I'm not trying to like deflect everything. Like, I mean, yes, obviously you should hire an actual HR person. Agreed.
That's good advice.
Yes.
That sounds good. I do agree with that.
Shocker.
Too. Yeah, crazy. The no doesn't mean no policy
gosh,
that was
yeah.
criticized. That was crazy. I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, "What the fuck?"
Well, you're answering for me. Let me
Okay,
answer.
It was criticized, especially by Soggy recently, of having been taken out of context. Can you explain what the no doesn't mean no policy?
Well, here's the thing. I think it was Kira, the MrBeast employee in Soggy, was like, no doesn't mean no. It's like a common thing said in the workplace, and it literally just means like if like a company doesn't want to give you what they want, like ask again. No doesn't mean no. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but like still, no does not mean no is in the context of hey, you know what I mean? So like it doesn't fucking matter. And I believe that the company kind of hid behind like, oh, well, a woman wrote this. I still think it's wrong to have in a fucking document about bringing on employees, no does not mean no. Because again, when most people hear that, their mind goes to something to do with something completely separate. So I'm sure he's going to say the same thing the employee said, which is it's not the context, it's not whatever. I'm rolling my eyes under these sunglasses because it still has that connotation. And if the intention is different, it doesn't matter because it's so shocking in a fucking how to succeed in MrBeast. No does not mean no. Huh? Hold on.
It was and why it was in the.
Yes. So yeah. So it's funny. Even the word like policy. It's like so when we started hiring more people, I wrote this little I almost like advice book just for a lot of
Oh my God, he's speaking directly to us.
people as much as I was early on. And
Not him looking directly in the camera and then they switch to the other camera.
one part of it that people, when this thing got leaked, and I wrote it with some other people in my company, it wasn't just me, but when this got leaked, there's a section that said no does not mean no, and then they just like cropped that out, and they're like, look, this is proof Jimmy's immoral and evil. When obviously, like you were saying, if you read the context below, it makes sense. The gist of what.
Again, I read the entire document. I still think it was inappropriately worded. I still stand behind that. My eyes are rolling. Well, not actually. It would hurt my eye, but metaphorically, my eyes are rolling right now.
We had a section that said no does not mean no is because we do. I don't know if anyone's ever seen our videos. Crazy things that have never been done before, right? No one's ever on YouTube at least buried themselves alive for 7 days. No one like tries to dangle an obstacle course from cranes, and it's like the problem I kept running into.
Maybe there's a reason.
I'd be like, hey, I want to do this, and then they would go call someone. So like, let's say the obstacle course in the sky, where we had like these obstacle courses that Mac did, held up by these cranes, weighed like 100,000 pounds or whatever. Like they would call crane companies, and they'd be like, no, and then they'd be like, okay, hang up. And they come to me and they go, Jimmy, they said no, we can't do it. The video's not possible, and it's like, okay, well, of course they're gonna say no because everything we do has never been done before. But like, ask them why. Don't no. like obviously if they don't be rude, but if they say no, just try to understand why, right? And a lot of times you'll have an instance where like, well, we can't get all the cranes at one time because we're renting them out. And it's like, okay, perfect. We respect that. But can I offer something before you actually hard say no? What if we went to the 2 or 3 other clients that day that rented the cranes, we paid them 5 times the amount of money they paid to rent those cranes to just, rent them a week later. And let's just see. And then the company would usually be like, oh, you would do that? It's like, yeah, like we want to work with you to find a solution to make your problem our problem and solve it. And then like, then a hard no will 50% of the time.
Sorry, my card's getting declined. I have to.
So that was me trying to educate
Okay, perfect. It's not
the
declined.
I don't know. I'm not even gonna say somehow. I know how. I mean, people who didn't care about the truth and just wanted to spread disinformation and manipulate a line.
Hey, that's not true.
I mean, I'm not even gonna state the obvious, but I mean,
That's not true. I read the entire document and I still had a problem with it. In an official work document, it's still really inappropriate. I read the underneath of no does not mean no. I still thought it was highly inappropriate.
which made no sense because the context for it was literally written right below it. But I mean, that just shows the ill will intent of certain.
Disagree completely with him on that. I disagree completely with him on that.
People.
Yeah, because no doesn't mean no. I mean, that is like, there's just a massive, heavy negative connotation with that, obviously.
Literally. So it doesn't matter the fucking context. Why? You could phrase that completely different. It was phrased like that, in my opinion, to be tongue-in-cheek.
In the zeitgeist. So, yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense in a vacuum, or, with this context, it does make perfect sense, but you got to see, if I were to be like, yeah, this guy, MrBeast, is getting canceled for all kinds of crazy shit, he has a no doesn't mean no policy. Anyways, like, that's crazy.
I know.
That's fucking
And you should show it
insane.
on screen so your viewers
Yeah,
can
so they can actually see the
so you
full
can see
thing,
the context, because it clearly lays it out. So no one actually saw that and thought what these channels were implying.
Yeah.
They just will.
I read the entire thing and I still have the same opinion. I'm not harping on about this anymore. I've literally made an entire video on this.
Were ignorant so they could get 1 out of 10s and make some money. I mean, that's the truth. Like, I'm sorry.
Wrong. I read the entire thing.
Content production and the question of authenticity behind the content that you make. There have been claims that you use some CGI in your videos, that is computer-generated imagery. Do you think the use of CGI can undermine the credibility or authenticity of the content that you're making? And if so, why do you choose to use it?
Good question. And yes, I do think rampant use of CGI can undermine it, and I try to do my best to be transparent. Did you ever see So Crispy's video where they showed the behind the scenes of our Squid Game video?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so we've done that. We've done lots of BTS videos on them, and we've done other BTS videos. So I
BTS? I did this in my last video. I just remembered.
try to show it transparently, but let me think about it. I mean, honestly,
Taehyung, I love you.
obviously there are channels.
Come back from war.
Can you really think of any entertainment channels like mine that really do this, like even have the budgets to kind of do this kind of stuff? It's something I've always thought a lot about, because like we're really pushing boundaries, and like I want to like keep leveling things up, and I think that's a cool way to do it.
Baby.
But it's not like there's some, like, playbook
I know a thing or two about pushing boundaries.
no one else really does it. Like something I was thinking about is like also we rarely use it. Like I mean maybe like 0.5%, 0.1% of my shots. Like if we have like
Oh, so the Google document also includes times they've used CGI.
it looks a little off, we'll just like darken it out in post. Like that's like majority of what we do.
Also, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care if he uses CGI. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too lax with things. I don't give a fuck.
Sometimes we'll extend a set. But I was thinking like when we do, because we pour millions of dollars into these videos. We build massive sets. Like we go through so much links to make these huge videos. And the last thing I want is people to be like questioning whether or not things are CGI. I mean, like the sets we build are fucking crazy, man. Like it's wild. Like you should come see the like behind the scenes of it. I mean, sometimes we spend 100 days just literally building one room for one shot of one video.
That's insane.
So yeah, I was thinking like
100 days building one room for one set challenge.
That's interesting.
yeah, or like having some like gimmicky thing where like whenever we do, we like put like a little Beast logo on it, so it's like a thing that if people wanted to identify, they could. I mean, I'm down to figure something out. I mean, we just don't really use it that much. It's just like a thing few and far between. But what I really don't want is people to not be able to trust my videos just because occasionally.
So again, he's giving something that they may do, which is adding like a little sticker to let you know if it is CGI. Again, whether he does that, don't know, but at least he's offering some solutions.
I want to make a wall.
Again, I don't see the CGI thing as that big of a thing when it comes to like
Because what we do on its own.
making fire bigger or making a car a different color. I really don't care about that.
Is insane. You know what I mean? Like we don't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to be fair too, I totally get what you're saying, and like the logic for the CGI call doesn't really make a lot of sense to me personally. To me, maybe it would undermine the credibility if you're like changing things genuinely, or like you have an outcome that's the thumbnail, and you're only getting it by manipulating. But like there are times in my videos where my head is bigger than my head in real life because my editors make it bigger. That's CGI, right?
Yeah.
The words, the subtitles in your video, they're not real. That's CGI technically.
True. Yeah.
So it's like there's just it's just that one's like a really sort of slippery slope. But I think that's a good idea. If you were to put timestamps, or if you sort of are transparent about AI generative content, that's something that you could do as the biggest content creator in the world to be even more ethical than is really necessary.
Yeah. The only thing is then, which I'm down. Like I want to keep brainstorming these things out. It's just like you said, like I in my head I didn't even think of text on the bottom as CGI, and like everyone might have a little different definition of it. So I just want to make sure like you know, what I would classify as it. Like, and so, but agree, there's some solution here, or just stop using it. Like, it doesn't matter. Okay? I mean, we build crazy sets. It's usually just to make them look 1% cooler.
You can figure it out.
Yeah. So there is some answer here. Like, that's not a thing that scares me. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah. I think people would appreciate the transparency on that as well. Like, because it's, I mean, reality television, it's all extremely manipulative, and I think that's like the basis of it. So if you were to sort of go above and beyond even the worst, you know, whatever competitors that you don't even really have on YouTube and put like a Beast logo or timestamps, I personally think that would be kind of cool.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think that'd be sort of epic. There was an allegation that you used CGI to
Epic. You don't hear the word epic much these days. What a throwback.
create the impression that you guys built a hospital, part of a hospital, in order to deceive viewers.
This was a big thing in Rosanna and Dogpack's videos, so I'm very excited to hear what he has to say here.
Or, you know, manipulate them into believing that you did more than you actually did.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. Honestly, truthful, dumb mistake. At the start of one of our Beast Philanthropy videos, they were trying to show what this like building looked like in the past, and in the past that hospital wasn't there, so they removed it in the editing. Which, and this was just like a small part of it. This isn't even like the point of the video was that we built this hospital or whatever. There's just a shot at the beginning, but some people saw that and like thought we did build it, which is not the intention, and so it's just a dumb mistake. Like trust me, when I saw that, I talked to the editors. I was like, come on, like, you know, I have 100 editors, and obviously we have a bunch of different channels and things like that, so it's hard for me to like speak with all of them. But it was just truthfully, a silly mistake. We never said we built that hospital or anything, but I could see how some people might perceive that we were trying to like give off that we were, and it's a little unfortunate because Beast Philanthropy, my YouTube channel, how do I
Beast Philanthropy?
how do I say this word? It's like I'm not trying to, like, is literally owned by a 501c3. Like, it's a YouTube channel that is a nonprofit, which is crazy. Like, as far as I know, that's the only one. And Beast Philanthropy does so much good. And like that, you know what's the only reason people, this is what's funny, because like to the people like trying to call me evil and say we fake philanthropy, the only reason anyone even knows any of this is because we actually did a behind the scenes video on that video. So like clearly I wasn't aware of this because we did BTS and we were the ones who revealed this information. You know what I mean? So like if we were trying to hide things, like we wouldn't have done BTS on that video. That's how people got this information.
A good point. A good point.
So it's just like a little mistake, but it's sad because now people are using that to point at our Beast Philanthropy channel, which does a lot. I mean, we'll just scroll through the videos. I mean, whether we're building schools in Africa or, I mean, and giving electricity to remote villages, or we're giving clothes to people who don't have it, or we're feeding people. I mean, it does a lot of really good projects. Now, truthfully, that channel is struggling to get brand deals because of all the slander on it, because everyone, you know, has convinced advertisers that the videos are fake and that it doesn't actually do philanthropy. And it's like, it does. And just like one little editing mistake on one of dozens of videos. Like, I mean, it's unfortunate because it's actually having a pretty severe impact on the charity and its image. And like,
Which again is probably going to be a big reason why he does eventually sue Dogpack, because he can actually prove financial damage, which, like we've said, is a big thing whenever it comes to defamation lawsuits, that you have to prove that it's malicious, which I think is very easy to prove with Dogpack, and you have to prove that it is affecting you or your company in some way, and he has talked about it in length that it has, so I think he's got an easy lawsuit against Dawson here.
just unfortunate.
And you think the impact is not obviously just the CGI hospital edit, but just the entire situation in general?
No, I mean, of course, the entire general situation, but no, after that hospital thing, a lot of people made videos saying Beast Philanthropy is fake and claiming fake or philanthropy and specifically attacking it. And then, you know, like that whole 100% of the revenue on the charity, on the channel is what we use to fund the charity. And that like spooked off a lot of people because they're like, oh, so this charity's not authentic. Because like obviously people don't want to work with a charity that
Spooked him good.
Beast Philanthropy is as legit as it gets. Just one little editing mistake, which now I'm sounding like I'm downplaying. I mean, it was just a mistake in editing. Doesn't discredit all the projects Beast Philanthropy has done around the world, the tens of thousands of lives it's changed. And I mean,
Fair point. He's saying that they fucked up, and he's saying that he doesn't want it to affect everything else, but they did make a mistake. Not much more I or you can ask for.
yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair admission too, because it's like, you know, and once again, optically, you're the guy who's talking about, you know, spending 26 hours a day looking at data, and, you know, every decision, every single frame that's in a video is like combed over, and then that is a mistake, obviously, that you're capable of making, your team is capable of making, and like the whole thing is capable of making, and people, you know, they'll compare and contrast whether they know or not. Like they think everything you're doing is 110% deliberate.
Yeah, well, that's the unfortunate part, because like if someone, again, just to be clear, the only reason anyone even knows is because we did BTS. So I mean, but if that would have happened, you know, 8 months ago, I would have just responded to a tweet saying my bad and just like re-edited it in YouTube editor and just like added a voiceover, and it would have been fine. It's just now that, you know, due to the circumstances, everyone's like, we finally got the proof, the philanthropy's fake, he's fake, and like let's tear it out as charity. And yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's just a silly editing mistake. Like the VO we should just had VO over that clip just saying we didn't build this hospital. But it was also not even the whole point of the video. It's just like if you watch it, it's just a clip at the start. It's literally not even what the video's about. So
So you mentioned the behind the scenes footage of that, specifically the hospital video in regard to your philanthropy channel. Would you be willing to, or consider releasing like more detailed behind the scenes footage or a breakdown of that with the VO you're talking about, or, you know, the editors who worked on it and sort of their thoughts and opinions or whatever, because they, I mean, they're the ones working on it, right? Like
on
what
that
was
video
their intention?
specifically?
Yeah, or just in general.
Yeah, but that one specifically, I mean, we're owning up to it. I mean, I don't want to put them on blast publicly. Like, it was a silly little mistake. Obviously, we talked about how we could could prevent it in the future. But I'm sure, shocker, at some point we're gonna have some other editing mishap over.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not something I can't guarantee you.
Also, if he came down harsh on the editors for making a mistake, then that would prove into people being like, well, he treats his employees bad. So him being like, oh, it was just a mistake and stuff should actually be kind of taken by us, the viewer, as like, okay, he's admitting it and we'll move on kind of thing. Also, I'm going to take a quick pause because I really want to change the vibe in here and I really want to light a gingerbread candle. So I will be right back. Okay, not one, but 2 gingerbread candles have been lit in this room. Give it about 10 minutes and the vibes will be immaculate in here.
Ever happen again, but like we're doing our best to make sure it doesn't. But in general, I would love to do more behind the scenes. Like I think throughout all this, I think what is causing some of this is like confusion. It's because there is so much mystery around how we do our videos because people don't know how we do it. It's like it's almost easier to believe there is this like they're fake or this they're rigged, and he didn't actually build a bunker and put it underground and have 2 people live in it for 100 days and record the entire time and do all this. It's almost getting to the point where it's easier to believe it's not real. And I think like just having more transparency and doing behind the scenes would help. I've been wanting to do that for a little bit. It's just truthfully, I just got to build a team. I was we're looking into getting some editors and like a person dedicated for doing it. Like because we have to like intentionally film those shots.
Right.
A lot of it's like so we're like building out the team. It's just like. It just takes time. Like you need someone who'll make the thumbnails for it, and like I also don't want there to be editing mistakes in this. So I need someone who's doing QC, and that's like a really important thing because I don't want them to post it and make a claim in the BTS that's not true and say, hey, we spent
God. Those K-pop years that are still ongoing, by the way, have really affected how I hear BTS. I no longer think of behind the scenes. I think of the K-pop band.
$100,000 on this bunker, and it was actually $480,000, right?
Yeah.
Which is these are the little kinds of things that because I have such a large company, people will do, and they think it's innocent, but it's like no, like, but at the end of the day, it's my name on it, and so it's like in theory, it seems simple, like oh, you're already filming, just throw a BTS, but there's a whole big process in it to make sure that's also true and authentic and good and actually edited well, and so I mean, I don't know when I'll be able to build out the team and get it right, but I think that will help a lot if people knew. Like the effort and work that went into the videos and like just how we do it, I think they would look at it differently and be like, oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, and I think to circle back a little bit, I don't think even showing the in behind the scenes, like if that were to have existed specifically with like the philanthropy stuff, or another time where you're adding CGI or whatever, if you had the intention of the people who are doing it in that behind the scenes footage, it wouldn't be necessarily even putting them on blast or showing any mistake. You would have from the very beginning transparency.
Yeah.
So I think that would be. I mean,
I'm on
awesome.
the same page here. Hey, if anyone watching this wants to help work on my video,
God, when he breaks the 4th wall and looks directly at me, I shiver me timbers.
yes, channel. I'm actually serious. We're actively hiring, trying to figure it out. So I think that would help a lot.
Yeah.
Plus, I just want to show people how we do this stuff. Like, it's pretty crazy the stuff we're doing now.
I mean, realistically, it sounds like some of these problems, if like there was just sort of, you have the opportunity now to just be like super ethical and
He did a little mic pop here. They went.
not only the 300 million subscriber YouTuber, but like you are leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in terms of like transparency.
Yeah.
Which people really like that type of stuff. Even if they don't like search out for it, they just like to see someone who's honest and relatable.
I agree.
And like you guys are really good at this insane MrBeast thing. But like you said, even with sort of talking about the allegations in the beginning, you didn't want to make a video where you're just sitting and it just feels cringe and awkward.
No.
Like it makes sense, right? Like I get your perspective and the outsider's perspective. It's cool to see how.
It's starting to smell like gingerbread.
But it's cool to see that there is a possible answer to those situations, like being super ethical and transparent in a way that nobody else has ever been before.
I agree.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably do that. So there's evidence that you put your previous employees, friends, whatever, controlled opposition
Yes.
In your challenge video, such as the 100 boys versus 100 girls video.
Yeah.
Did you put them in that video or videos like that specifically to rig the outcome
Of the challenge?
Of the
Yeah.
challenge? And
Well, we saw an interview. His girlfriend went on a podcast ages ago, and she literally said that people got COVID, and she was called to be a step-in for the challenge, which, again, I think makes sense to me.
so, do you think that's acceptable, Mr. Beast?
I know. That one was a big one. Videos talking about my 100 boys versus 100 girls video in the last couple months. That one, people really talked about that one. So, yes, Sagi's video, he talked about this and uncovered it. I'm surprised more people didn't. Like, my girlfriend, after that video, literally went on a podcast and described this. So it's not even like this was hidden information. This has been out there.
You were in the video 100 girls versus 100 boys for $500,000.
Yes. On the day, everybody had to go for COVID tests, and a lot of people came, got their COVID test, and they tested positive. And the girls somehow ended up with way too little contestants. So I got a call randomly from the studio, and they're like, "We need a female." I'm like, "Well, I am a female. I guess I could do this 100-hour challenge."
Again, a good point that this information has been out there.
They didn't, but I think some of them caught on.
Did he like move to the side of the circle? and
He avoided eye contact at all costs.
But I mean, literally, like she said on the podcast, we had 100 boys, 100 girls. They're competing in a video. Leading up to the video, they're supposed to quarantine. This was years ago when, at the height of COVID. A lot of questions people have about my videos, like that in these recent things I've noticed, usually the answer is like COVID, like why things aren't as like we would normally do it. But in this instance, they quarantined. When they showed up to the studio, a couple people on both sides tested positive for COVID. We didn't have them all in a group. We, isolated and tested. And so now I'm stuck with a tough decision because we have all these people who just took off work for a week and took even more days off work to film this video. A couple people on each side of the 100 girls, 100 boys tested positive for COVID. I can't go grab random people off the street because they haven't quarantined, right? And back then.
Again, this is a very valid reason. Because then if he would have people on with COVID, then he's putting people at risk and he would be called out for that. So I completely get where he's coming from here. Do you remember how strict it was with testing and stuff like that and quarantining? I get it.
I think COVID tests are better now, but back then, it took like 2 days for the COVID test to be able to pick up whether or not you had COVID, something like that. Not a doctor. This isn't Joe Rogan. No one knows that though, right? I could just gone and grab random people off the street and it would have been fine. But I was trying to like be protective of the contestants. So my employees were routinely quarantining back then because, in the studio and things like that, we didn't want an outbreak. So I just went to the employees who weren't working on the 100 Girls vs. 100 Boys video and was like, hey, I don't want to cancel this video. Who wants to be in it? And so a couple of them volunteered, filled in the empty gaps. My girlfriend.
Makes sense.
And then we got the numbers up. I was good. The video's on. And yeah, they were competing for money like everyone else. Transparency. I'll look at the camera. No, they were not there to rig it. I did not tell them when to get out. I did not tell them what to do. They had their own free will. And I really didn't think too much of it. And
I believe it.
years later, and that's turning into proof that I put employees in videos to rig them and script them, and they're just filling in for some people who got COVID.
Yeah, I think it's another situation in which it's like, sure, there's evidence or whatever of both or whatever. It's like a trust me bro versus a trust me bro.
But this one's not even a trust me bro. Like, I mean, my girlfriend literally years ago said on a podcast all this, so it's not even like I'm retroactively making this up. I mean,
right.
I could probably go pull up COVID tests and show you. I mean,
just in terms of like the interpretation of what people have for that specific event. Like when someone like you or someone with this big thing, people just see who they don't care. They see, oh, he's using his friends. Like obviously it's fucking rigged, but they're not gonna look into it. It's just optically, like there's so many things that it's really easy. Like there's like such a crazy slippery slope for a lot of this stuff.
It's like the thing is, I mean, I could have been like, oh, people got COVID and canceled it. And then we'd be sitting here talking about how I had these people quarantined for 7 days and then I just rug pulled them. You know what I mean? And so, like, it's a little bit of damn you don't. Like, either way, I'd be sitting here talking to you about it. So
A fair point.
ethical, moral stance and, prioritize health. And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah,
I agree.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, hopefully now that people hear the truth, they agree as well. But yeah, I mean, it's been brutal hearing that misinformation be spread.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine that, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of people who really do not like you at all.
Yeah.
How does it feel in real life? Do you feel it in real life at all, or is it just internet?
No, it's just the internet. We talked a little bit before this. I mean, also, it's late at night. I just flew here to do this. This is a very impromptu thing. Yeah. But for like the 10 minutes we were talking before we started recording, I was telling him like, no one in real life has any idea of any of this. Like, I meet hundreds of people, and they're all just like, yo, what's up, MrBeast? They never bring it up.
Yeah.
And then
It's interesting he's saying that because he's saying that it's affecting him and his company, the dog pack videos, but here he's saying that no one in real life cares about it, which is contradictory.
you would open up Reddit. I mean, it doesn't help that they're censoring positive posts, but and you think, well, actually, now that I'm saying it out loud, that does make sense. You would think everyone hates me because anyone who does it, their post gets deleted. So actually, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it's like, and even some of the YouTubers that I know, like you mentioned sending a clip to YouTubers, and they're like, well, it's just not cool. I don't want to be seen as a MrBeast glazer. I mean, even the sort of feelings amongst YouTubers, the people who their responsibility is to, well, responsibility, very loose use of the term, to talk about anything online or whatever, you know, even they're afraid or they just don't want, like, so it's just the internet. There's this really weird, you know, like sort of echo chamber. Not that obviously everything that you've done is can just be swept under the rug. I mean, you've admitted to mistakes. I think that everything that you that is a genuine mistake, you once again have the most to gain from all this. So it's not gonna fucking hurt you to just admit where you're wrong or whatever. Yeah, I think that that's a very interesting one, the 100 Boys versus 100 Girls video, because to me, without looking into it at all, it's like that does seem weird, right? Like it just seems like once again a conflict of interest. But at the same time, you're making YouTube videos. You're not making like. I don't know. You can endlessly make excuses for it and against it. It seems like that's why I'm saying it's kind of.
I mean, I think between like the contestants and people you've given stuff to in videos, like pretty confidently say like less than 1% of it's employees. So you know, if you were to take everyone who's ever been in the video, so like we're like, and a lot of it was like I said during the COVID time, where it's just like, well, I'm trying to be responsible. And so it's like, I mean, I think when you look at it through those lenses, I feel like any rational person would be, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah. Okay, so now on to
Checks out for me, I'm gonna be honest.
So the first person really to respond to critics was Chucky. But the second person, it seemed like, was Soggy Cereal, YouTuber, commentary YouTuber. And he made a video, and he's been, you know, that video is sort of blowing up a little bit. It's not quite to the level of Dogpack's video when it first came out, but it's, you know, it's coming up, and he did his best to disprove a lot of Dogpack's claims, and even held you accountable for a lot of stuff in his video, which I thought was good. I thought his video was pretty good. I liked his video a lot, and I like him a lot. I've talked to him since that came out. I've talked to him a couple times. Yeah, he has criticized you today and last night, I think. You know, to sort of timestamp when this video is being recorded so people know. He said, Soggy has criticized you sharing his video with other YouTubers as a way to shield yourself from criticism, you know, like deeming the video to people. He also expressed feeling used by you, given that you used his video as a strategy to gather favor from the public, which, you know, that's pretty wordy. It's like it just happened today. It's got to be something like...
Again, I can see Soggy's, you know, perspective on this of feeling annoyed that, like, he's the one being used to, like, get MrBeast out of things. But if I'm being completely honest, I can also, like I said earlier, understand MrBeast DMing a video that disproves a lot of the things about him that are negative to creators and being like, why aren't you covering this? I honestly see both sides of it. Maybe I'm wrong here, but It genuinely is how I'm feeling.
How do you feel about him feeling that way? Because he's not really defending you. He's more so trying to hold light to truth, which I appreciate that massively.
Yeah.
And I do, talking to him, I do believe that he is an honest guy. How do you interpret his responses on Twitter if you've seen them? Have you seen them?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Okay.
I interpret it as him just trying to be honest with his audience and just expressing how he feels. And I think, obviously he probably, in his head, if he was even being more honest, he'd probably be like, Jimmy, why don't you just say these things? Why am I saying it? And I think, obviously, now that I'm here and doing this, that will alleviate it. But I can see how it feels. Like, obviously, I saw that video and it, disproved. I mean, there are some things in there I don't agree with, and he does go pretty hard on me, so, which people seem to forget. But there are a lot of things in there that he disproved. And I got excited and shot it over to a bunch of creators who covered the false information. And was just like, look,
I'm offended he didn't reach out to me.
that looks like I'm hiding behind it. Lovely, I'm here talking to you. So I don't think that'll be a problem anymore. But obviously, he's not, when he tweeted that, he, doesn't know we were doing this, doesn't know this is coming out. I mean, he might now, you talk to him, but so I don't blame him. It's a reasonable thing. Like, I think if I were to read a little between lines, he's just saying like, I don't want to be a shield. Jimmy, say something. You know what I mean? Like, actually go address things and like.
Because he's really not defending you. He's just disproving Dogpack. Like that.
Exactly.
That's the primary kind of driver. Or that's how I interpreted his video. I was like, oh, this is pretty balanced. I like him. He's a cool dude. So
he didn't go with the grain and disproved a lot of things. But also went kind of hard on me too. So, but
he's not a big fan of Lunchley.
That's one thing for sure. He does not like Lunchley.
By commenting on his video, you left a comment on Soggy's video after it was posted. You said, "This is finally a video that doesn't spread baseless slander about me."
Yeah, I mean,
lol.
obviously that was a stupid comment. Yes. Yeah.
Dude, how do you think that looks? I mean,
dumb. Agreed.
Okay.
Especially the LOL. That's
Yeah.
next question. Dumb.
Yeah.
The answer. Dumb. Yes.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, I guess so. So it's like it kind of gives weight to you sort of taking the situation lightly. Like if anybody should be taking the situation lightly, it should be like me or Soggy or people like people who aren't actively involved in the situation. How would you put that worry, that concern at ease for someone who's like willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, which I think is super important. And you say something like that, and then it seems like you were taking the situation in general lightly.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a good question. I mean honestly, there's just a lot of disinformation that was correct in that video. And I just wrote that comment, and then right afterwards sent it to a couple YouTubers, which because just like finally this this thing is here. But I agree. Like dumb comment.
Legal and ethical issues. I feel like this is probably going to be a little bit.
Again, don't really know what more to expect off of him other than just admitting that it was dumb, that he shouldn't have been commenting in the video. And while I may be the only person who doesn't see a problem with him sending it to YouTubers, him also saying that he shouldn't be doing that, don't really think there's anything else he can say there other than that. I think that covers most, if not all, bases.
A little bit more sort of, we're going to need some facts on screen to back up like whatever's being said here, just to because like there's only so much you can say.
Yeah.
So, and Soggy did a good job of sort of disproving a lot of these claims just in general, or giving weight to ones that deserve to have weight given to them. Yeah. So watch his video. Obviously, I think he did a lot of work on this stuff. So Dawson claimed that you ran multiple illegal lotteries, and in Soggy's video, he sort of, I think, disproved two,
yes.
And then one he still believes was an illegal lottery.
Yes.
Do you believe that you ran an illegal lottery? Did you believe at the time? What was your mindset? Did you check with the FCC? Was there any compliance, any steps taken to prevent this? What is your just perspective on that?
Yes. So I don't think we did. I have people looking into it and like trying to pull the footage and figure it out.
His mom.
He disproved the two, which I mean, those are crazy. I don't want to just like speculate. I have a team looking into it. I don't think we did though. But regardless, just to be truthful, if people want a refund or think for whatever reason like we did something wrong, like I'll send you a link that you can just put in the description where they can get a refund. Maybe just throw it on the screen.
I want to apply for a refund. I don't even need one. I just want money. Where is that? Where is that? What the fuck is this? MrBeast philanthropy report. What is this? I guess just all the information on the philanthropy. Okay. Where is the refund link? I want money. Here it is. Oh, I need an order number. Damn it!
Confirmed isolated incidents of harassment. How were these incidents addressed? And what systemic changes did you implement from after the investigation to prevent things like this from ever happening again? I'm assuming it's going to piggyback directly off the
what we
HR
talked about before.
improvements.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, agreed. Like we talked about before, I have hundreds of employees, and when we brought the outside third party in, and I was like, hey, talk to whoever you need to, get an honest pulse of how some people are feeling. There were some things that people hadn't made us aware of that they felt more comfortable talking to Quin and Emanuel on, which is obviously ultimately why we ended up doing the anonymous hotline and that kind of stuff. And what you asked, what did we do? How did we handle it? Like I said before, it's just whatever they told me. If they told me like I need to fire someone, fired them. Like I mean, it's not like I don't want to be the arbiter of truth. I want people who are professional in these things to get the information, make sure they have all the facts, and I want them to tell me what to do. Right? Because obviously I work with these people, and so I could have some form of bias or whatever, or maybe I like this person better, and so I like to stay away from that kind of stuff. And so I just did whatever they told me to do. Yeah, to be honest.
How did you feel when you found out
I mean, he's being honest at least.
there were incidents of harassment in your business?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I was like, well, how can we, like we talked about before, and so I started educating myself, and I've been bringing in new leaders and people who have worked in bigger companies, and I was just like, you know, help me make sure like this kind of stuff doesn't happen, and educate me on these kinds of things. Like, again, like this company has grown so fast. Like I keep saying the number 400 just so people realize this isn't just 10 employees making YouTube videos like it was for me 5 years ago. And so my first instinct was just like, educate me. Who do I bring in? How do we solve these things? And like I said before, it dials down to two.
Again, we don't know if he's doing that. We have to take it with a pinch of salt. Hope he is bringing new people on. Hope he is. Hope this doesn't happen again. Hope the workplace environment, you know, does change. Again, we have no confirmation on really any of that. We just now hear his take on it, and we have to believe what we want to believe.
Things, making sure you're not fostering it, and then when it does happen, making sure you respond appropriately, and just like trying to learn everything I can in those two areas, and just find the best people in the world in those two areas to just review everything and make sure we're doing it correctly.
Dude, people were fired. How many people were disciplined, fired? Was it more like, how did that feel knowing that there was like an amount of people that had to be disciplined, terminated, whatever, as a result of an investigation? It's kind of things just happening basically under your nose due to a lack of business acumen or care or whatever word you would want to use.
Yeah,
how did it feel?
Well, I mean, like I haven't even met all the people that work for me, you know, because it's so big and we have people all around the world and things like that. Just for context, I don't want people to think like, oh, these are people I'm just working with every single day and I'm just oblivious. But yeah, I mean, just felt like I need to improve. I need to learn more, and just I want to fix these things, you know. So I mean, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was looking for.
I'm a problem solver. When there's problems, like my default reaction, like instinct, is how do we solve it? And that's what we've been obsessing over, and I feel like we've made a lot of progress, to be honest.
Cool.
Again, we're just hearing his opinion now and his take. They're trying to do better. They're trying to whatever. Now we have that second piece of story. We had the original. Now we have this. So we can just create our own opinion based on that.
Are you going to sue Dogpack?
We've seen this clip.
You know, there's tons of examples of him intentionally manipulating things to not be true and posting it online. True. Tons and tons and tons of that. Soggy has basically an hour and 27-minute video, and an hour of it is just flat out proving manipulation and lies, and caused a lot of harm to my businesses. I mean, I've literally had people pull out millions of dollars and then tell me it was directly because of his video. And don't worry, I instantly was like, can you send that in writing? So, you know, if I win a case or anything, I can directly point damages. No reason why. So, I mean, it's just unfortunate. Like, I don't want to be put in this situation, but probably gonna have to. I mean, it's just, I mean, what do you do if someone's just spreading?
I think he is going to sue, and I think he's going to win by a landslide. If I'm being honest, I think it's going to turn into a huge lawsuit. But again, you need to prove damages. He's proving damages. He's saying that he has proof of that. Companies, you know, saying that. Dogpack is fucked.
Information about you and, you know, just causing harm to your business and like getting it to the point where you might have to potentially fire people because it's costing so much revenue. It's like, it's not fair to the people in my companies. You know what I mean? It's just sad, you know. It's not a thing I take joy in, but
right. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So yes.
They're not done drafting it up, but once they're done, more than likely, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
They're like, this would be the easiest win they've ever seen in their life. I mean, it's like crazy. I had one tell me like you could chop up all the evidence into like sue three separate times and win all three cases because you have enough for each. Like one person was talking.
This was shocking to a lot of people. It's not. It was coming. It was coming for a long time. He's going to do it, and I believe he's going to win. There's things that Dogpack could be like, oh, you lied about this, but overwhelmingly, Dogpack manipulated the shit out of a lot.
So he's won like 67 out of his last 70 cases, and he's like, this would be literally the easiest case I've ever done. Like it's because there's just so much blatant, you know, misinformation and lie spread. Like, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, just go watch Soggy's video. Go look at his Twitter where he's redacted multiple ones of it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to be in this position.
Now, what do you think? Do you think that there could be any sense of regret from that? I mean, optically, once again, there's a lot of things working against you on a constant basis because you're the biggest person in the world on YouTube and social media, and you're just crammed down people's throats algorithmically. Like, if you decide to sue this man, even if he deserves it or not, which is like obviously up to you.
Well, I just want the slander and disinformation to stop. It would be a bigger reason. But you're saying, when am I worried about how that would affect me PR-wise?
Yeah, just like, what do you think?
Right now, I'm getting canceled because I'm not suing him because they're saying, well, you know, Jimmy's not suing him, therefore there was truth, or Jimmy would be suing him. So at this point, I'm so big, it's kind of most scenarios.
Again, a good point. I have seen that people being like, well, if it's lies, why isn't he suing? So then if he sues and people are like, well, why is he suing? You can't win. But him being like, we're drafting it up right now, Dogpack is getting sued, I think is what we can take from this.
Like, either way, like, there's a vast negative for me. You know, people are like, oh, he's not going to sue because he's worried about discovery. No, I don't give a fuck. You know, why do I care? I'm here. This is discovery. You know what I mean? And that they just...
Again, so during discovery, everything would be put on, you know, to put forward to the court. And then if there's going to be a trial or, you know, blah, 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 blah. But basically, a lot gets exposed during that. But I still believe that within that, There's already been an external investigation into MrBeast. I still believe more will come out against Dogpack, if I'm being completely honest. I know there's a lot on Dogpack.
No matter what I do at this point, like there's just a large group of people that are just gonna be unhappy, and that's just like a reality I have to be okay with, to be honest. As long as I agree with what I'm doing and I believe in what I'm doing, I mean that's all I really can do at this point.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people, you know, it's probably a minority. Well, it's definitely a minority of people just in general who actually care about this type of shit. But like, you know, the silencing critics, for example, something very similar has happened. Well, not that similar, but something is happening to CoffeeZilla, who we'll talk about here in a minute as well. He's being sued, and that just, you know, to someone like me, I care about.
Isn't it by Logan Paul, literally the person that he works with?
Rationality and
MrBeast?
people being big and, you know,
100%. And I would just say, go watch the Soggy video.
Yeah.
Look at all the blatant
Of course,
manipulation of lies. And this isn't me trying to silence them. This is me trying to, like,
Yeah, and-
this is like borderline, I owe it to my employees. It's like,
yeah.
I can't look at someone in the eyes and go, sorry, you're getting laid off because you decided to keep spreading misinformation about us. You know, go complain to
Yeah,
Dogpack,
I understand. It's like, there's a
This is bigger than me. I have a lot of people, a lot of families, a lot of kids that, you know, work or are under, you know, the people I employ that work for me. Like, it's not just me. Like, I can't.
Of course.
So.
And it's also, you know, just to finish what I was going to say, it is not silencing a critic. It is preventing the spread of misinformation, proving misinformation.
Exactly.
So I think being able to make that distinction, though, is very important. And that's something to consider. It's like how do you stop the misinformation and slander, but also don't prevent people from caring about things ethically going forward and feeling willing to criticize someone like you. Even though, obviously, this situation, it appears quite clear-cut that this is misinformation. And truth is obviously the most important thing, but also there's like a sort of a slippery slope of silencing critics and censorship and all this crazy stuff, and freedom of speech is so important, but obviously lies and slander are not protected by the freedom of speech. So it's just a big, giant optical pill to swallow and consider, I feel like.
Agreed.
And I would be really interested to see your thoughts going forward, you know, in your decisions that you decide to make. I would love to stay in the loop on that because, you know, in the very beginning, I thought Soggy had good intentions.
Sorry,
Yeah, Dogpack, exactly, yeah. Soggy does have good intentions, in my opinion.
He clocked that T quick. He said soggy.
This into sort of his thing.
Good intentions, even though even the very first video literally was, what, 90%
seemed,
lies?
It seemed.
You
right?
got manipulated,
Yeah,
but
of course, yeah.
that doesn't make it good intentions.
Yeah, I'm just saying it seemed, and a lot of people also...
Was it good intentions when he photoshopped a fake live stream and
No,
fell asleep?
no.
Oh, the girls are fighting! The girls are fighting! Ooh! Ooh, 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 ooh.
Accused me of not saying something I did say and falsely accused something. It was a good intentions when he put a king-size Feastables bar beside a regular-size Hershey's bar and didn't disclose that, and then lied about us having more sugar than them. Was it?
The diva's angry! They've upset the diva. They've upset the beast!
No, I understand.
I think that's just a misconception
Yeah.
that everyone has. It's like there's never good intentions.
Yeah, of course, but I'm just...
I watched that video and I was like, this is just lies, and everyone's like, oh my god. I was like, whoa.
But we're just talking about optics, though.
Okay,
is my point.
optically.
Right, optically.
People who fell for
Right.
the optics.
But that's the lowest common denominator. That's what makes this entire world that we're in go round.
That was crazy.
You can't expect people to be to go out of their way to give you the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and-
so
yeah.
it's super important to consider all that.
Yes.
But yeah, and obviously it's been proven now that he is Mr. and misinformation combined, right? It's for someone like me who actually cares about, like, I like to pretend that I care about the truth of things, and I don't want someone like you who has worked very hard objectively to get where you're at. I don't want you to be slandered or for people to lie about you, etc. But at the same time, you know, like, you are the one who's going to win. You are the one who will always win. You're the top, right? Like, you got this big thing, so you have the most responsibility, and you've got to be the best guy.
Cognizant of the implications it would have.
Yeah.
But it's also on the reverse side. It potentially causes people to not want to spread misinformation and not
course.
slander people. So there's also the positive side of that where people realize, like, disinformation has repercussions.
It's just something to consider.
Agreed.
Right?
I don't
Yeah.
take the decision lightly. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay. I believe that as well. But yeah, I think that's a yeah.
Ooh, he stressed the beast out with that question. See how much he's moving? Love it. Stress him out more, Queen. I think that's a really good point. You know, when you sue people, specifically with defamation, it can open up different laws being changed. It can, you know, not protect fair speech and stuff like that. So Imp is obviously coming at this from the perspective of someone who talks about topics a lot and stuff. So I like that he also brought that up to MrBeast, even though I do believe that, like, Dogpack would, like, lose a lawsuit and stuff, that there are, like, ramifications, like, for other people when you do a lawsuit like this as well. So, I mean, I think that was a good point to bring up.
You're the guy. I mean, if anybody could go and be as ethical as possible and do everything as perfectly as possible and actually take the moral high ground and not just pretend, it is you. You got all the resources. You are the guy who can do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest. So, yeah, I think you will.
Kiss ass.
You'll do all this stuff cool and right and stop slander, misinformation, etc. Which is good.
Disinformation.
Disinformation.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Misinformation
They're cousins.
could be an accident. Disinformation, not an accident.
Let's see. So now to move on to CoffeeZilla.
I want to know who else in this room, because the way he keeps looking off camera.
Published that painted a negative light on crypto dealings allegedly associated with you. To what extent were you involved in these crypto transactions, and how do you respond to CoffeeZilla's video on you detailing these allegations? I thought he gave you a benefit of the doubt in that video.
Yeah.
I think he's a very reasonable guy, to be honest. I think he's a very smart, reasonable guy who cares about, like, doing the right thing, which is pretty.
Again, I'm pretty sure Logan Paul's the one suing CoffeeZilla, which is really crazy that he's having this conversation with MrBeast, who works so closely with Logan Paul.
On YouTube. You know, how do you how would you respond to Coffee's video?
Yeah, Coffee's video and the report. Well, so I'll start off with the report. I mean, most people probably haven't even read it, but that's what kind of spawned that whole thing was this. Did you see it? Like that? Yeah. So the gist of this crypto report that was, 1 second, sorry. It's not my.
Come on, Diva. Come on.
The gist of this report was Jimmy is too stupid to like make this kind of money, therefore it must be insider trading. This is his wallet, you know. Clearly there's insider trading because he never would have been able to make this kind of money. When in reality, which is what I told Coffee in that statement we gave him, it was managed by a fund. So I wasn't the one managing the wallet. You know, I've never had access to that wallet. I've never done the buying and selling of that wallet. There's an actual professional who's written books on crypto and lived and breathes crypto every second of the day managing it. So most of the allegations there like are just answered by like
I'm just letting him talk. Crypto goes up my head.
a fund was managing it. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, like Coffee said, like if
A diva can't be good at everything. My fall. Crypto.
he literally said this in a video. If you like Jimmy, then you're like, yeah, he has answers for everything, and just checks out. And if you don't like Jimmy, then you're gonna go, you know, there's obviously wrongdoing here. But yeah, I mean, the honest truth is like, I make videos. I'm running 7 businesses. I got a lot going on, and yeah, I invest in a crypto fund. They invest on my behalf, and I've never like had access to that wallet. They're the one doing the buying and selling. I mean, there are thousands of transactions on there. Like, I don't even have that kind of time. I'm sure you could probably even look at it and see like days where.
Well, here's the thing. Do I believe that someone does this on his behalf? Yes. Do I believe that he also has incredible involvement in it? Probably yes. Tell me why he's tweeting in support of different crypto things. Therefore, bringing more value to them after he's selling and pumping and dumping or whatever these terms mean. I do believe that he's also involved. I think it's pretty obvious.
I was like maybe in solitary confinement or like doing a video where I didn't even have access to a computer and there's trading.
True.
So for the conspiracy theorists that think I'm lying and using the fund as a cover up, like, I mean, there's got to be some way where you could just figure that out, like where I was on a plane ride or something. But yeah, that's like the honest transparency is, you know, I was in a crypto fund and people thought I owned the wallet because it's called Wu-Tang Clan. Do you listen to Wu-Tang Clan?
I have, yes.
I don't. So I feel like that's another indicator. I wouldn't have named it Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah.
There were additional crypto investigation questions that'll be answered at the end of the interview, it says.
Because yeah, I mean, like the whole like just YouTubers in any way being involved with crypto in any sense now is just like
Well, agreed, and that's why I literally put it in a fund because I was like, I don't want to like fuck with this stuff and like be
But he, the YouTuber, was tweeting support of different crypto things, so he is involved.
If I'm buying and selling it, maybe I mess things up or do something dumb. So I was like, oh, this fund is led by someone who knows what he's doing. Here you go. You know, that was literally the whole logic behind it.
And there's also videos where he's saying that people were telling him to like buy things and he would buy them to do with crypto.
revealed delays in philanthropic projects such as the walking assistance video due to lost partnerships. He talked about that in his sort of disproving video. Yeah, how do you intend on regaining trust between that brand that is literally a vehicle for philanthropy?
Yeah.
And how do you intend on regaining trust with the brands to put money to that to generate revenue to use for?
Yeah. I mean, I hope step one is literally this video. I mean, I hope like I just need people to just stop making videos titled "MrBeast fakes his philanthropy with devil horns" on in the thumbnail of my head, and like you know just stating facts that aren't facts. Like because like
That made me giggle.
Information. I mean, it's gonna be pretty hard to convince these people, but hopefully once that dies down, I think it's just more of a time thing. Because yeah, it'd be nice, like, because yeah, the charity definitely needs that whole like disinformation thing to kind of just stop. Like I spend $150,000 a month, like so I pay for the employee's salary, so all the revenue from the videos goes straight towards doing our project. So I cover all this employees, a little bit of overhead, that kind of stuff. So that way, if we get like a $400,000 brand deal plus the ad revenue from the video, we can like spend all that money on like you know buying shirts for homeless people or whatever it is. So I just put that money in, but this like. This past week when we also put the $150,000 in the account, I had to put another $1 million in to make up for like 2 lost brand deals. So I'm like now having to like plow money in on top of the
MrBeast provided some proof of his contribution to the charity account in the documents below. Well, where is it, Diva? $1 million he gave MrBeast. Okay, there's proof of it.
what I'm already plowing in on top of filming the videos and doing all that. And it's just, yeah, it's just brutal to be honest, because I can't do that forever. So, because I'm already putting a lot of money into it. And so, yeah, hopefully, I don't know the answer. I don't have a crystal ball, but hopefully, like, people just kind of stop slandering you. You can attack me. Just don't attack the channel. It's literally a 501c3. Like, that'd be nice, to be honest.
Yeah, and you know, that one's weird to me because it's like
I would unironically. This is a crazy sentence, but unironically, if instead of starting a YouTube channel, giving it to a 501c3 and filming videos and donating millions upon millions of dollars, all the revenue to a charity, and then using that to help people, if I just started any other channel, like I don't know, like a channel where I just sit down and talk and kept all the money and just bought a $10 million mansion after like 2 years, I think that universe where I just sit down and talk and buy a $10 million mansion and make a video on the mansion, that version of me would get maybe 1% of the shit that the version. Yeah, and so it's like, but that's not why I do it, because I actually would get less hate if I just stopped the philanthropy channel, but I just want to help people in school projects, and I believe in what it's doing. But it's a little funny when you think about it.
I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's absolutely, the devil horns thing. Dogpack actually cut a part out of his first video about you being the Antichrist. Did you see that?
I did.
What'd you think of that?
Really?
I mean, you did get here a little fast, to be honest. You
The sad part is he was being serious in it. And,
Yeah, he cut that part out.
And that he showed that part publicly, and people still were like, okay, well, Kim's saying Jimmy's the Antichrist because one of his studios was a church, because there's not many warehouses in North Carolina, so I just bought a church and converted it into a warehouse. And like, he unironically was claiming I was the Antichrist in the same video as all these other accusations, but everyone's like, oh, that's the only crazy accusation. Everything else is true. When I saw that, I was like, okay, now people are gonna like be like, okay, maybe he's just, but didn't change anything.
I mean, yeah, does it like bother you? Did that bother you specifically?
I think that's something crazy as well, that like Dogpack is like actively like removing certain sections from his video. It's very dishonest.
Because like, how do you even?
I'm not the Antichrist. I mean, where's the Bible? I'm not the Antichrist. There you go.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I've seen MrBeast smile authentically here more than I ever have.
They're like, his name is. We live out here in the sticks.
Yeah.
All right. They're like, his name is Beast. It's got the 6,000. That's a 6. Like people, I think that's very funny, to be honest, and in like an ironic way. I don't actually obviously believe that you were the Antichrist.
I mean, I'll be honest. I don't even know what that means. The Antichrist. I see those conspiracy theories occasionally, and
Yeah.
I don't even, like if I was just like, I tweeted, yes, I'm the Antichrist. Like, what does that even mean?
Do you ever speak in Babylonian curses?
Only occasionally. Not in the past year. I've kind of moved away from it.
Yeah, you've stopped.
Come on, boys. Let's keep the jokes, to the side. Let's cut to the shit. This is 2.5 hours. Come on. Stop the jokes. Let's just get to the point.
Yeah, I'll show him a picture of my circle with a pentagram in it that you spawned out of.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you plan? So back to philanthropy, to things that actually matter and are actually important, because that's what the whole point of this video is, to try to be.
Oh, but we're being serious.
Yeah, it's serious.
Hey, lock in.
Yeah, it's a serious video, and we're trying to be honest.
It actually is serious.
It really is very
Yeah.
serious.
Oh.
Do you plan to provide more
Took us a fucking hour and 19 minutes to realize that.
transparency in how funds are used for your philanthropic efforts for Beast Philanthropy, your 501?
I've seen a lot of people ask about that too. So for the Beast Philanthropy, anyone can audit our books. We pass audit every year, and we make those things public. Also, I actually called CoffeeZilla like 9 months ago, and I asked him to do a video where he like broke down. Maybe it was 9 months ago. I don't know the exact month, but like break down Beast Philanthropy and try to find anything fraudulent in there, because we're super anal about every penny spent on the charity. So if anyone wants to do a deep dive on our charity, I would love that, because it'd be awesome. So people could see the links we go to on the main channel. We don't have much transparency, but I mean, it would just be depressing if I showed people, because a lot of our newer philanthropic videos we do on the main channel, like building 100 houses, wells, blind people, we don't do brand deals on them. So those videos lose a ton of money, because we definitely don't make enough money off the ad revenue to pay for them. So every single time we do one of those videos on the main channel, it's usually -1 or -$2 million. So I mean, that's basically the transparency. When I do it on the main channel, they typically lose a fuckload of money. The charity, if anyone wants to like deep dive the books, that'd be awesome. I've been wanting some YouTuber to do that, so we could show like how impressive what we do is.
Do you I've heard you repeatedly talk about how much money is lost or whatever. What makes like money? Like how do you?
Yeah,
how does-
feastables. Self food. So obviously it is profitable. But yeah, I mean the content is just we lose a lot of money on our content. I don't want to say it because but it's a disgusting amount. But so we offset it through things like feastables and things like that. As a whole, we're gonna lose money this year, especially because everything going on didn't really help.
Gotcha.
Again, another thing that'll be used against Dogpack in court, that they had a bad year financially. They can basically put all of that blame onto Dawson.
So yeah, I think the transparency.
It smells like gingerbread.
You can audit.
The
Charities,
philanthropy books,
they're
yeah.
totally public. So
Yeah, I would love to fly someone out. We've unironically been wanting to do this. We asked a couple YouTubers that just were like, well, if you're asking us, then there's probably nothing there, so why would I do a video on it?
Yeah.
So like people only care when there's a smoking gun.
Yeah, of course.
But I've been trying to get someone to do a video like deep diving the Beast Philanthropy financials, because people have so many like
Get Spillsash. Reach out to her again.
they just literally say no when I ask. Anyways, yeah.
some fans feel like there is a fine line between philanthropy and using vulnerable people for content. How do you feel about people who think that your videos unintentionally exploit vulnerable people for entertainment? So I think that's a very valid concern that people have, and I think this is one that's gonna be hard to kind of explain, because people are gonna just be like, well, just be a rich guy and donate all your money, and you have more money than me, therefore you have to donate it, or I can criticize you. Like that. It's a really hard argument to win, I guess. But if you had to explain that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Honestly, that would be an easier one to take video by video, because obviously that is something I'm very cognizant of, and I don't want to take advantage of people or use people, and so. But I mean, one video I'm burying myself alive. The next video we're flying, like comparing it. Well, she was playing ticket the most expensive. The other we're helping 1,000 people see. The other we're putting 100 people in a circle. They're just so different, right? The answer to that for helping 1,000 people see again would be completely different than the answer for when I put 100 people in a circle or whatever. So as a blanket one, I'm not 100% sure how to like just blanketly answer it. Besides, like that is something I'm very aware of, and like we try to pick people who don't really fit that bill. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It seems like a difficult line to walk, to be honest. I don't think. Yeah, it's a tough.
Like
tough
when we're doing the helping 1,000 people see again. Like if someone's like, I don't want to be on camera, which this happened lots of times. We just be like, that's fine. You can still have the surgery. Like, so a lot of times we do that, especially in the ones where people are more less fortunate. We're very hyper cognizant of it.
Again, we're not hearing his take on that. We've gotta either take it at face value, believe him or not believe him.
And we cut people out all the time, or we just don't even film. Like sometimes people, we make them aware beforehand, but they'll just show up and then they'll get a little camera shy. And like anytime I pick up on that, I'm always like, hey, like if you don't want to be on camera, we will still do this. Like it's perfectly fine. And they're always like, oh, then yeah, I prefer not to. And it's like cool. And then we just step out and let them do their thing.
That's cool. Yeah, I think because that's one thing that's like a running joke is like you have to be on camera, you have to be a part of it.
That's a part of why I like doing so many, because like if I do 1,000 surgeries, it's like I don't need all of them. You know what I mean? Like
that'd be a long video.
Exactly. I mean, we show like rapid fire so people can see proof that we did that many, but it's like if 100 of them or 200 of them don't want to be on camera, it's not a big deal.
Now to the 1,000 video, 1,000 people with blindness video.
God, the thumbnails, I like understand thumbnails are like so important in YouTube videos and stuff, but God, they're always just so... You got your surgery, smile!
There was a nonprofit that alleged it was...
Oh, that's a good segue.
Yeah, it was alleged that it was not paid.
Yes.
And you eventually paid them 8 months later. What was the cause of the delay?
Yeah, 100%. And that, you said alleged. I mean, we didn't, well, so they weren't paid. Let me zoom out. Basically, we did a video where we helped 1,000 people see again. We, off camera, actually did 800 other surgeries. So we did 1,800 surgeries. I just only put 1,000 in the video. And for a lot of them, we worked through with the charity just to make sure things were, because they had a lot of experience with this. And that charity worked with a lot of doctors on the ground and other little charities. And one of the charities that they worked with did a couple dozen surgeries. I don't know the exact number. I'm going to say around 30. And then the charity we were working with was supposed to release the funds to them afterwards to pay for it. There's a little bit of a misunderstanding. They didn't get it. So we ended up paying for like 970. And like I didn't know of this, but like that little misunderstanding never got taken care of. So then the charity that did the 30 surgeries made a video saying, hey, we didn't get paid. Somehow that never ended up on my radar for 8 months, which is honestly crazy. I don't know how no one sent that to me. We obviously had no knowledge of it. And then I saw it a couple weeks ago and I was like, whoa, I instantly called the team we were working with and I was like, what's going on here? And then we looked through it all, blah, blah. And then I was just like, I just paid them. So I actually double paid for those surgeries and just paid them separately. Obviously just a little misunderstanding, 1,000 surgeries. Even if here's a couple ways you could look at this rationally. If we did 970 surgeries, why would I intentionally not pay the last 30 to save 3%? Just nuke the entire rep of the video just to save 3% of money. A, that just doesn't even seem logical. B, what makes it even less logical is we did 800 more eye surgeries off camera. And obviously, I'm over-explaining things, but I have to because there are literal videos using this as proof that I'm evil and using this as proof that I don't care and using this as proof that I fake things, the horns, yeah. So like, but when you think about it, we did 800 off camera. So if I was aware that of the paperwork trail, the mishap, and that we didn't pay those 30, why would I not just take 30 of the 800 we did off camera and swap it out for those and just, put the 30 that people are claiming we intentionally didn't pay for off camera? It's almost like I didn't know. Because if I was trying to be manipulative, I wouldn't have put him in the video because I had 800 other ones. You see what I'm saying? So everything about it just makes no sense. And then even the person, after we reached out, he deleted his video. He uploaded a video saying, oh, it's just a misunderstanding. But everyone just conveniently ignores that because it doesn't.
I did see the new video that was correcting it.
I would say, like, these are huge projects. Like, I'd love to see any of the people making videos on this, like, try to just help 10 people see again. Now picture 1,000. Like, 1,000. That is, well, actually, we did 1,800. So 1,800 is just a lot of stuff. Like, it's, it's not like I can individually call all 1,800 afterwards and things like that. Like, some of these were in poor places. They don't even have phones. So, yeah. A little bit of a whoopsie, but we fixed it when we found out about the whoopsie. I mean, that's not the truth.
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect to not make mistakes with an operation. That's big. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen.
And when I do, we fix them.
Yeah, and then say there's transparency there. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a non-issue.
I mean, you would think that, but plenty of thumbnails.
It took Team C's 3 years to remove the equivalent of 10 hours worth of trash being dumped into the ocean every day. And a lot of people have criticized the campaign as being ineffective and that you should have been doing something else instead of Team C's.
Yeah.
Like how do you respond to that?
Yeah. So first off, because I get this a ton with Team C's. Like, this isn't even like a new thing. Ever since we did it, people constantly bring this up. So I just also, to the people who allege that criticism, because obviously you're just trying to be the mouthpiece for the internet. I assume you don't believe this, and you can probably already guess what I'm going to say. But to the people who I see this every single day.
I'm obsessed with that. I know you don't believe the criticism on me, so I'm addressing the audience. What if he does? What if he's biased against you?
On Twitter and Reddit. First off, let's just contextualize what we're talking about. We're saying only 34 million pounds of trash was removed out of the ocean. We're talking like multiple Empire State Buildings worth of just trash, we piled it up, is out of the ocean. And we're acting like that's not a crazy thing if you just look at it in absolute terms. Like 34 million, not 34,000 million pounds. You know how crazy that is? And there's a couple things I want to say on this because I find it funny. It's like when I don't even know where I got this analogy from. When a firefighter, stops a building from burning down, you don't go, well, 100,000 buildings burned down today. You only stop one. What are you doing?
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. So A, that's I don't even know where that's a good analogy. That just popped in my head.
That's good.
B, what was I actually going to say? Oh, the whole point, though, of Team C's, which we've said this multiple times publicly, same thing with Mark Rober, was to inspire millions of people around the world to be more conscious of these things and to, like, just care and be more aware, right? Like, over 1,000 creators made videos on Team C's talking about the environment. I made a video that I believe has 100 million views, Mark Rober, all these other big creators. And all these people that look up to these creators saw a video of these creators talking positively about the environment. And, like, my thing I would say to them is, like, when people are like, oh, it only removed, like, half a day's worth of trash that's put in the ocean. How do you quantify the impact of those millions of people who got inspired to be more cognizant of these things and extrapolate that over the next decade? You know what I mean? Like, no one seems to factor that in because it doesn't.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. The impact of the videos and what he's doing. Not only is he, doing more than the regular person, but the inspiration behind how many people he reaches as well. That's actually a good gotcha moment.
The agenda. I stand by Team C's. I think it was a phenomenal project. I think it did a lot of good. And I would challenge anyone else to try to remove 34. I mean, it wasn't me. It was the whole YouTube community. But like, if you have a better solution, go do it. But to me, 34 million pounds of trash out of the ocean plus, inspiring millions of people to be more cognizant of it. I think it's a win. So I'm actually glad I got to say this here because that is just something that I just feel like is absurd, to be honest.
Yeah. Another topic in the same vein is the 100 wells in Africa project.
Yeah.
In that video, part of the criticism for that video is that a few of the wells that you built were showed in different shots, or the same wells were showed in different shots.
Yeah.
That would imply to some people that you may not have built all 100.
Yeah.
Did you build 100 wells in Africa?
Yes. So you already know what I'm going to say. I mean, I would loop this in with the same thing as the hospital.
More information was provided.
Someone who like QCs things before we upload it, more hardcore. I need someone who literally goes frame by frame. Like we finish a video and then they spend like 3 days just going frame by frame, making sure there's no mess ups. Yeah, I think like 1 or 2 of the wells we actually showed this like same well as on different numbers. But once again, like I said with the blind thing, like why would I spend 98% of the money and then just fake 2 wells like and destroy the entire integrity to save like 2%? I'm glad we're hitting these though, so I can. Anyone who made those videos like saying the philanthropy is fake, like that's the one that bothers me the most because we go so above and beyond. Like honestly, if you could just delete them, like that'd be great. So like it's so bad, man. Like because it makes charities not want to work with us, and it makes like it just really like has made doing the projects we want to do like a lot more difficult, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're hitting these.
So aside from it being just difficult, does it make like how I've asked you how it makes you feel? You said it doesn't feel good with regard to that. Like this charity thing, it's got to feel good to do this.
Yeah.
And you're surrounded by people who I'm assuming are enjoying the work that they're doing. I know a guy, fella Darren, is involved in the philanthropy, or at least was. I'm not sure if he's still around, but there's some good people obviously involved in this. Like, how does it make you feel after all these allegations that are coming out that you can't really do this anymore?
Well, we can still do it. It's just infinitely harder. I mean, we're never going to stop. But yeah, it's
there's a time limit on it. It's finite.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping like that's why I'm here. Like one of the reasons why I'm here. I'm hoping this like puts the stuff out there. These things kind of die down. And we can go back to the status quo where I can actually do brand deals and help people and charities want to work with us and things like that. But I mean, shocker, it sucks. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel good. But it's not even about me. I mean, it's a lot of these things. What bothers me is that they're employees, even for the charity. Like, regardless of the people we help and the projects we do, I also just have a lot of people who work for my charity. You know what I mean? Like, and those people. Like, I just a lot of these things. Like the first thing that jumps in my mind is like it's just not fair to them. You know what I mean? Like, think of like the Wells Project. We worked on that for a year. You know what I mean? Like, think of my employees who worked on that and poured everything they had into that project over the course of a year, and then like some small editing slip up, and now everything they did that they put their stamp of approval, they put their name on, they showed their families that they made is now being discredited. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of like it's very depressing for them too. And I'm like, what do I say? I'm like, it's brutal, to be honest. For them, even more than me, because they're like, obviously I have a lot going on, multiple business, and I'm always filming videos. Like, but we have certain teams dedicated to certain videos, and like when those videos get like deliberate disinformation, it's like I can tell like it really impacts the people that worked on them because it sucks. Like that was your life, and then people are just like, oh, this small little mistake, it's fake.
Also a fair point.
How much charity do you do off camera, if you don't mind me asking? Also, some people say that filming these types of things sort of calls the authenticity or the intentions into question. If you're filming charity, like, is it real? If a bear shits in the woods, it's one of those old adages. Yeah. What do you do off camera? What do you feel about that? Because that's a big criticism that a lot of people have had on YouTubers for a very long time.
It's a big criticism I get, which is funny because if I do something off camera, how do you know about it? So all the people who tweet all the time or whatever go, you wouldn't do anything unless it's on camera. He only does it because it's on camera. How do you know?
Yeah.
Literally, how do you know? I mean, and does it defeat the purpose if I tell you right now? I mean, I will, just because now everyone assumes the worst. So, but it's just that one's always been a crazy one to me every time I've seen those go viral. But I mean, now it sounds like weird to just list them off because it's like feels like I'm bragging. But I mean, the first one that pops in my head is like the Mark person that would give $1 million that actually got slandered in a lot of this controversy. I knew that a lot of people who come into that kind of money typically go bankrupt, so I gave him a couple $1,000s a month every month for like 4 or 5 years after that video. Never mentioned it publicly, just to help us transition to his new lifestyle.
Right.
That was an easy one. I mean, we did 800 surgeries off camera for blind. Never mentioned that. I'm bringing it up now because the controversy is making me. It's funny because like even things like Feastables, we do a lot to ethically source it, and I spent an entire week in Ghana, early this year, just working on the farms for Feastables, on the cocoa farms, and then cutting the cacao and fermenting it to QC, working alongside the farmers, the entire supply chain to make sure it's ethically sourced. I never posted that anywhere. I don't think I did. I don't remember posting anything. I didn't make a video out of it. I just went there to inspect our supply chain, do that ethically. I mean, I could go on and on, but it just feels like a little weird to like.
What's interesting is apparently the only mention of Rosanna is in their evidence section, but he doesn't speak about her thus far. And I have seen comments from people saying he doesn't bring her up at all in this, which is quite crazy that she hasn't been brought up in this.
I mean, it's just not true. I do tons of stuff. I mean, even me and my mom, that's part of how we bond is we do things and projects and things she's passionate about and stuff like that off camera. So, I mean, that's something I'm never gonna get away from. Till the day I die, people are always gonna say, oh, you're only doing it because it's on camera. And I mean, there's technically no good real response. It's like, if people want to say that, they can say that.
Yeah, that's valid. Yeah, that's yeah. If it doesn't, if the people don't know it exists, obviously they're not gonna know that it fucking exists.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it, you're damned if you do. Once again, if you're damned
Because
if
even
you
me
don't.
saying it here, did that just defeat the purpose of everything I did? Oh, he only did those things so he could use
eventually,
it.
use it as a way to make
Of
himself.
course, I'm sure that like the r/YouTube drama post is gonna say that, and then someone's gonna debunk it, but that reply will be deleted, and then everyone's gonna believe the post, and yeah.
Some people allege, the internet alleges, some people on the internet allege that you use philanthropy as a shield against criticism.
Yeah.
And like they say that about a lot of people, not just you, a lot of YouTubers. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're always going to say that. So it is a little ironic in my case, especially, I feel like towards this, it was different years ago, but these last 2 years, you remember when I uploaded like the Wells video, the blind video? Do you remember like how people like lost their minds and got really mad? Do you remember that? Like, I think I was trending on Twitter for like 3 days straight after the blind video. It was not positive. It was like super negative. It was like, it's actually interesting because I talked about this earlier. Like, I actually think I would get less hate if I didn't do philanthropy. So I actually think it's having the inverse effect, at least in the last 2 years. Like, people hate me more because I do good. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's like too crazy. But I'm not trying to.
But I mean, people watch the videos because he's doing these things, so maybe he wouldn't get the views not doing them. You know what I mean? It works both ways. It works against what he's saying, actually.
Watch it, and then I'll do a video where I build 100 houses. Everyone loses their mind, you know, and give it to homeless people, and Twitter erupts. And so using philanthropy as a shield, honestly, I just don't even agree. Like, I actually think it paints a negative spotlight on me, to be frank.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely been a target of a lot of negative things
If I took $5 million and built wells, it would trend on Twitter. If I took $5 million and made the world's largest firework, I would not trend on Twitter and get hate. I mean, that's the honest truth. So that's my answer. Like, I do the videos because they're just fun, and like I've always said in podcasts, like I can make up some sob story of whatever. Like, the truth is, I just find videos where I help people more fun than videos where I don't, and so I just like to occasionally mix them in because it's just makes life more fun. But yeah, I mean, if I was actually didn't want to get hate, I would stop helping people, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's weird because it's like your philanthropy videos, they really are a huge point of contention on Twitter. And people, you said that if you spent $5 million building a firework, people wouldn't really even get mad. When you did the fucking Squid Games thing, they still were mad at that. They're like, why didn't you give that to? Like, you're always going to be making a lot of people upset, no matter what.
Especially at my size, you know.
Exactly.
And it's like, if I get 200 million views on a video, if only 1% of people are mad, that's still 2 million, which is more people mad than like might even watch this video. You know what I mean? So it's just like, because of the size, like it just that's the world I live in.
Yeah, and that's sort of like the grander point that I've tried to sort of clarify is like you're the guy. You're the guy, right? You're the guy. You have the highest expectations from everybody. And like people expect you to have extremely high expectations of yourself.
And I don't take that lightly. I agree.
Yeah, of course. So on to Feastables, my favorite chocolate.
Thank you.
It's just a simple bar of chocolate that happens to not be very good.
You live in America. There's not much competition.
I agree. For some reason, every shop in Brighton right now has Feastables. I'm like, he's following me. Listen, it's like cheap coin chocolate, which I can get behind. But you know what I can't get behind? That damn Lunchly. And you're coming from a Lunchables lover. A Lunchables lover. No. No. Well, you don't want to talk about 9/11.
People's view over the last few months, people noticed on the Feastables website, it originally said that the chocolate was child labor and slave labor free. A lot of people probably don't know that the production of chocolate is, it's difficult for it to be ethical, especially at scale. And it no longer says that on the Feastables website, and people have interpreted this to mean that your chocolate is no longer ethically sourced, and it implies that it is using child labor or slave labor. Yeah. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, that one was a crazy one when I woke up and saw those videos claiming I used slave labor. What's funny is any of those creators, I'm just going to say it, you could have just literally messaged me, and I could have given you the facts, but, you know, they didn't. And so that was like a crazy few days. Like, I actually...
Should I message him and see if he responds?
And these are just flat out lies. I even, when there's so many arcs of like allegations, that allegation arc, I even put out an Instagram story about how we ethically source our cocoa. And we even did a press release, and like I've like literally shared these things, and people still were claiming we use slave labor and just ignored it and everything. But is it fine if I just give a little bit of a longer answer on this so people truly, because I want to make sure people actually understand how ridiculous this claim is.
Yeah, I think it's also very important as well.
Yeah, no, this is actually probably one of the most serious allegations of all of them. Like, saying we use slave labor is like, that's crazy.
And also, we preface this by saying that Feastables is one of the reasons that you are capable of making money on what you're doing.
Yes.
So, you know, the ethics of that are even more important, arguably, than...
Well, and it's also hypocritical with everything I do. If I, just turn around and use slave labor, then it's like, okay, it's just, yeah. So anyways, to get into it, yes, there's a lot of unethical stuff in the sourcing of cocoa, because big chocolate just wants to buy cocoa as cheap as possible. Majority of the world's cocoa comes from, again, I'm going to really lay this out. I have lived and breathed this. I've visited the farms. I personally put over 1,000 hours of my own time into this. And like, yeah, so majority of the world's cocoa comes from West Africa. Feastables early on, we sourced from Peru, which Peru doesn't have ethical problems. But after we started getting bigger, all roads lead to you have to source from West Africa, because that's just where most of the world's cocoa is grown. And that's where things are the worst and the most unethical. So when we were switching our supply chain to West Africa as we're getting bigger, the company that is the gold standard, that has been living and breathing this for the last 15 years, is Tony's Open Chain, or Tony's Chocolonely. Have you heard of them? Yes. Yeah, I mean, phenomenal.
Again, shout out to them, because I didn't know that they were so great in what they do with chocolate. And I'm going to go to the shop after this, by the way, because I need to do my groceries, even though it is 9:30, and I'll probably finish this up at like 10:30. Actually, I hope not, because this has been long, mama. Listen, the MrBeast lovers can't say I'm not giving him time. I'm giving him a lot. I'm gonna pick up one of those chocolate bars. I always see them at the tills.
They are nuts about this stuff. Like they've done all the research. They live and breathe it, like on how to eliminate child labor.
But if Tony Chocolonely, whatever it's called, tastes like Feastables,
I need to talk to these guys. These guys know what they're doing. And so,
but I'm still gonna support.
we actually formed a joint partnership with where we sourced through Tony's Open Chain with Feastables and Tony's Open Chain when we were moving over there. And this has been a thing well before the controversy. Before anyone says, "Oh, it's only because of controversy," it was a thing before the controversy. And basically, 100% of Feastables cocoa is fair trade certified, which is expensive. It's basically the most expensive certification you can have on it, which for most chocolate companies would be enough. You get your cocoa fair trade certified, and then like, do you even know what fair trade certified means? Okay, do you think your viewers?
I remember learning about it in Skill. Ah! Sorry, he was like, do you think your viewers would know? He does this a lot, by the way, and it definitely sounds like he's being condescending, and I mean, at its core, he is. Excuse me, Jimmy Donaldson, I learned about fair trade and beyond in school. And if people haven't, that's not their fault. Don't be condescending.
Fair trade certified, my chocolate. 99% of people would be like, okay, good enough, that makes sense. So like, I could just hid behind that, but I didn't think fair trade. There's, I don't think that's enough. And so not only are 100% of Feastables beans fair trade certified, but 100% of them we also pay a living income reference price. Have I mentioned any of this to you before? No. Okay, so 100 living income reference price, which basically, this is why it's hilarious how people are like claiming we unethically source our cocoa. I'm ready to lay this out because everyone who said I use slave labor and I don't care, I hope you delete your videos because you were literally spreading severe disinformation. So for us, one of the main drivers of child labor in cocoa is poverty. Like they don't make enough money. So you can't just go to a farmer and say, don't use child labor, because if they can't afford to pay a grown-up, then you're telling them, hey, go starve. They have to make money. So one of the ways you can eliminate child labor is you have to pay a living income. So there's a thing called living income reference price where they look at, and tell me.
Based on the area.
They look at
the price of everything.
Cost of bread, basically the cost of living in these areas in West Africa. And they say, hey, if a farmer sells you a metric ton of cocoa, they need to get paid blank to actually be able to live. If you're paying under that, it's just not reasonable for them to live, which then will mean for them to live, they're gonna have to use child labor. So 100% of our beans would pay living income reference price. So if a farmer theoretically sold us a metric ton of cocoa for, I'll make up a number, $800, and the living income reference price is $1,000, we'll go, hey, we actually want to pay you $1,000 for that, a $200 premium on top of it to make sure you make enough money to live off of. And that's what we do for all our beans, which is like crazy, you know what I mean? But if we're doing this, we don't want child labor on the farms. And so there's child labor mediation system. There's a lot of stuff. And this is where Tony's has been great to work with. We have people who check in on the farms and, interview the families, interview the kids. If there are cases, remediate it, follow up, make sure the case was remediated. And it's about part of solving child labor is making sure the farmers make more money. So we also have coaches that will work with farms to, on their theoretical hectare, see if there's any way they can educate them so they can get 10% more yield. So for the same farm, they can make 10% more money. Therefore, they're not as in poverty. So it's easier for them to pay, actual labor that's not children. And even I could go on and on. I mean, you tell me how in depth you want to go, but the gist of it is Feastables, we are super cognizant of our supply chain. And I've been over there. I've worked on these farms, literally. I mean, I could probably send you a video if you want to throw it up on screen, so it's not just hearsay. But I didn't put the stuff for this. I just did it because I really wanted to know. And I mean, this is something I was working on. I mean, sometimes 4 or 5 hours a day for like months straight, like 4 or 5 months, because I really wanted to make sure we are ethically sourced and we have the best people in the world working on it. So, I mean,
being associated with Tony Chocolonely as well as that's like they're huge in that world, and there's like some unaccredited sources that claim that they're not slave free, but they're once again unaccredited. Like Tony Chocolonely.
No, Tony Chocolonely is super transparent. So you can see every year they drop a transparency report. And in their last transparency report, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you can look up and throw it up on screen. They said there's no evidence or any traces of slave labor found in their supply chain. So that's not a thing. But the thing is, to answer actually the original question, and it's even Sagi showed it in his video, but I'll just restate it for anyone who hasn't seen it. They're big on saying exploitation free instead of slave free, which is why we switched it. And on top of that, we just we have new information there instead of just this blanket thing. We're now, or maybe it's being populated or updated. I don't know if I'm quoting like a demo site they're about to go live or whatever, but I wanted to like everything I'm telling you here, I want all that up there. You know what I mean? And which we've been working on. Just honestly, just with all this stuff going on, I've had a lot going on. But I want to like these are the kinds of things I want to talk about in videos and start like telling everyone. It's just these are a little bit more complicated things, like explaining a living income reference price and the premiums of fair trade certification and child labor remediation systems and stuff like that. It's stuff I'm very passionate about, but a lot of these things like viewers might not understand. So, and my videos aren't as like, this setting. So it's easy for me to say here, but these are, anyways, before someone's like, why did you talk about that publicly? It's like, damn it, you do, damn it, you don't. Oh, I spent a year plus of my life and all millions of dollars and all this time ethically sourcing my cocoa. And because I didn't show up publicly, it's like, oh, now everyone's criticizing me and they're assuming I'm not.
That's a really fair point as well.
Things on camera.
And I'm glad to hear that is the same with Feastables, no matter how terrible it tastes. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad that, the other chocolate brand is such a force behind it because I've heard amazing things about them.
This is what happens when I don't. I get accused of using slave labor.
That's a crazy accusation.
A baseless accusation.
Yeah, it truly. Yeah, I mean, once again, being associated with Tony Chocolonely is like that's huge. That's
of course. Yeah. I mean, those were the first people I hit up when we were switching our supply chain over. Like, yeah,
it's cool. Now on to Lunchly.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry, Dolly has just came into the room. What up? Which means that she wants some attention. So I am gonna stop filming for probably like 30, 40 minutes, and I will be right back because someone wants some cuddles and to play. So I will be, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back.
Friend of the show, Rosanna Pansino, happened to get a moldy lunch.
Wait, she does come up. Everyone commented that she doesn't come up. Not friend of the show.
And a couple other creators got moldy lunchleys, and then that began the claims sprouted out of that.
If he's gonna, I think I know what he's gonna do. I haven't seen this, but they've done this before where they blame the packaging and the delivery and stuff, or they blame the transit. That's what it was. But other brands, Lunchables are able to get delivered, you know, without their shit getting fucked up. Other things are as well. Focus on your packaging. You know, you can't blame everything on someone else.
That Lunchly had been recalled due to those problems, due to the mold problems.
Yes.
Which was not true.
How do you?
We've already covered that.
How do I plead? Like, what am I on trial? Well, there was no recall. I mean, that's been said, which
We clarified that too.
it's the disinformation, man, because that makes it seem like there's an actual serious problem. Oh, we're recalling Lunchleys, and there's a sign that you know. I think Logan even did a video if you want to throw up where he like went to the store and that just wasn't real. That like someone put on like a
Where they harassed an employee.
when the shelves are empty by the FDA, which was just a made up thing.
Don't you worry, Rosanna Pansino interviewed them.
We every single Lunchly with cheese meat is USDA inspected. There is no mold when it leaves our factory. Like we have the highest QC standards imaginable. Like what do we have? Why would we ship that out? Like that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? And we obviously have the best experts in the world. I mean, even once these things come out, I mean, we brought even more. They're pouring up and down the lines, making sure everything's good. It's just the thing is, here's a context a lot of people leave out. Look at. I don't want to name specific brands but take a specific brand that comes into your mind when you think of something like Lunchly, something that's very similar, specific brand. I don't know, other brands, competitors, and Google.
Okay, so now he's alluding to Lunchables whenever they were directly promoting it as a Lunchables alternative in the past, which is something to note.
Their name and put the word mold behind it. You'll see thousands upon thousands of examples, and that I think is a key context a lot of people leave out in this because they're acting like this is just a thing with us. Once it leaves your factory,
Is that true? If that's true, I'll take back what I said. Lunchables. Mold. Lunchly comes up. Mold in Lunchly. Mold in Lunchly. Finding mold inside Lunchly. Blue mold on my Lunchly. Lunchly. Customers find moldy cheese in Lunchly. Lunchly. Lunchable. Exploring moldy Lunchable cheese. Try contacting Lunchable through their site. I find mold. Okay. That is true. I definitely have to sort through the Lunchly ones, but it's a fair point as well. So I take back what I said about why isn't it happening to other ones. But still, improve your packaging. Don't blame the transit.
you know, a truck that's delivering it could technically take a sharp turn in a box fall and puncture the seal, or honestly, even something as dumb as like when it's put on the shelves at the store. Like I can't stop someone from walking to Walmart and grabbing a Lunchly, going to the potato chip aisle, putting it there, and then like a day later, an employee going, "That doesn't belong there," and put it back. And like, I mean, obviously they shouldn't do that; they should throw it away. But like, so there's no mold when it leaves our factories because that's just stupid. Why would we ever let that happen? But after that point, you know, there are variables that we just can't control, and that's why every single product in that section, Google it, put mold behind it. It just occasionally happens. I mean, but we're talking like, I mean, it's moving over 1 million units a week right now, and I'm seeing like maybe.
Who is eating that shit? Who's feeding their children?
It probably comes with mold.
Yeah, exactly. Not even Lunchables. Lunchly. To be honest, I probably would have loved that as a child.
If you trace most of those cases, it'd be things like, oh, someone just like, I mean, it could even be like someone's refrigerator cut out, or they like, when they put it in their car, they like threw it in their car, and then like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just, I can't control these things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, mitigation of mold and shit like that's difficult.
I mean, again, I understand what he's saying about like Lunchables and etc. having mold. That's a fair point. But in terms of being like, we don't know how people are storing their Lunchly, it's kind of a cop-out.
You have to. There's a problem.
Like blaming mold on other people.
Everything with cheese and meat that we use is USDA inspected and held to such a concern, like you wouldn't even understand. It's like, so it's not a thing until after it leaves. But I mean, when you buy the product, like
I still can't believe I ate that shit.
Yeah, definitely. And like, you know, you're using the logic of you could look up the other brand and then mold. Logan Paul had a moment on Twitter where he basically did that exact same thing, but the reverse logic, and said that other brand led and then compared that with Lunchly. But I think it's important to state the same thing you're saying about mold is possible, that, you know, someone could toss something, there's a hole in the package. It's important to also note that, you know, food products do contain trace amounts of like cadmium, lead, arsenic, and it's really important. QA, like you're talking about, you know, across the board, that sort of transparency is important.
Yes. And if there's anyone who, I mean, I have like people who have done this their entire lives running this stuff, but if there's anyone who thinks like anything they can educate me on or we're missing, like I'm down, you know what I mean? DM me.
Yeah, I think it was actually really funny. I'm not sure if you saw, because like the food stuff I find very important.
Is that the one time Rosanna came up then?
since having my own food company, like we manufacture here in this
can I
town.
see it before I leave?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So like that's super important to me. And there was a video that like the actual misinformation stuff that bothers me outside of YouTube drama nonsense because it's hard to like feel like I don't know. It's a strange world being in YouTube just in general. I know you're very well aware of that, but
That's an understatement.
Yeah. But like seeing somebody like Logan Paul
Is this play about us?
promoting Lunchly and like somebody like Logan Paul acting as if you can find lead, like traceable amounts of lead in a metal detector with like that. It's just there's misinformation from like both sides. You know what I mean? And for someone like me, I find that to be very important. I did make a video about that.
Yeah.
Such a good point that he's bringing up. That like, you know, you're saying people are spreading misinformation, disinformation about you, but also, you know, you and your friends do the same thing. You know, you can defend yourself and stuff, but like you're also guilty of doing this. Well, your friends are. Good point.
And you know, the same thing you're saying about the mold, you know, giving Lunchly the benefit of the doubt. It's important to do that across the board. I feel like.
Such a good point.
Which you didn't make the claim that there's no lead.
I
in Lunchly.
honestly, I know what video you're talking about. This is what I'm too ignorant on what that machine does, so I don't.
Yeah,
I'd have to.
We've got the same one. It detects metal. Every product, like Feastables, has lead in it. All cacao has lead in it. You know, anything that comes from the earth has lead in it. It's very difficult to get lead out of things, and like the lead that they measure for is parts per billion. So like you can't detect it. You're not gonna find like a little chunk of lead.
This is where you're in a different league than me. I'm so ignorant.
You better clock his shit, Oompaville.
It's just like you said, use the word ignorant. It is really ignorant to, you know, it's just as ignorant for people to say Lunchly's got mold in it than it is for people to say that Lunchables has, or the other brand has lead in it. You know what I mean? And that's like one of the reasons, because there will be recalls no matter what. Like eventually there's going to be a recall if you have a food product. So yeah, I think it's important to like
Such a good point.
all the time. And like just like you're doing with Feastables. I mean, like if there is a good example of approaching things ethically, I feel like you guys have done an excellent job with Feastables. And your PR with Feastables is, in my opinion, leaps and bounds better than the PR with Lunchly. I think you're doing a really good job with that, to be honest.
Well, Lunchly though, the next SKU, or how would I say? It's not everyone listening. What's a different word for SKU? They might not know what that means. Next
iteration.
The next one.
Flavor.
Flavor. I guess that's what you'd call me. The next one we're dropping. I think people would be very surprised. Like we're obviously this business is like 2 months old. Like Lunchly, like we're just getting started. We obviously,
It's blue cheese.
I'm excited. I should have checked with the team beforehand if I can just say what it is, but I'll tell you off camera. But it's I think all the criticism and things we obviously are seeing it, and like you know, think everything can be improved, and I think people are gonna be very happy with it.
The next Lunchly is going to be the following. It comes with a Red Bull, comes with a blueberry, raspberry, cherry vape, and comes with a cigarette. What else would it come with? Blue cheese. I don't know. Come on. You fill in the last one down below, please. We'll create a beautiful Lunchly meal.
Something healthy's gonna come out.
We're thinking. I don't think they'd ever say like maybe like grilled chicken nuggets with maybe like some barbecue sauce, like high quality meat. You know, perfect good source. And like trying to figure out what the side is, but like
I don't know if I trust Logan Paul, KSI, and MrBeast with.
like something like that.
I was gonna say their meat. That sounds really weird.
That's good. That's awesome because it's like I mean it was funny the day that I filmed that video I got a box of Lunchly sent to my house as if it was like some kind of sign or like I don't know why or how or who sent me it or what I don't know how the fuck but yeah it was good it's like you know it's just the quick snack food and that's what it is.
It was good. Being objective aside, that shit is rank. Somehow it's even worse than Lunchables, and I love Lunchables, but it's not good. It was stale cardboard shite. Come on. Okay, he's lost me here. You have lost me here.
Nothing crazy. It's nothing. It's like sure less bad, whatever. But who the fuck cares? If you're doing something like that, what you're saying there, that's leaps and bounds better.
I know. I'm very
that's
excited.
Leaps and
I'm
bounds
like
better.
I want it out so badly, but it's probably gonna be early next year. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. People allege that you hired a registered sex offender named Delaware. There's a big whole conspiracy with it. Why did you hire Delaware? And were you aware that he was a sex offender before you hired him? By the way, to preface this question, this is something that I think a lot of people probably feel like is really important. You know. So you know that in mind. This is one of the most important things to me. I would love to hear the full truth response from you in regard to that.
Yeah, and I'm excited to put it out there because I think what people are envisioning is completely different than what actually happened. Yes, I did hire him, but for the context around it, I hired him when I was 19, so I was a teenager, and this is kind of leans a little bit into what we were talking before. This was back when it was just a couple of my friends from high school and my mom. My videos were getting bigger. I needed more help, and so I walked in because I'm dumb. Like I probably should have gone on some site and hired people who had production experience, but instead I walked into my local Best Buy and I just hired multiple people. Obviously, when I was a teenager, I didn't know what time.
The fact they joined his company as well is crazy. Like random strangers. You have your job at Best Buy, a random 19-year-old comes in. I want to hire you. Sure.
Check was, and I just hired a couple people there that wanted to help me make videos. One of them was a person named Delaware, and no, I did not know he was a registered sex offender. There's a rumor that's gone around that said that he sat me and my mom down and told us. Obviously, I don't remember that happening. And when I read that tweet, the first thing I did was like called my mom and I was like, "Hey, this is like 7 or 8 years ago. just put this in context. 7 or 8 years ago, not indicative of my company today, but I was like, did this happen? Because someone's claiming this happened. My mom said, I would have literally quit or honestly probably shut the business down before I ever let my teenage son hire a registered sex offender knowingly, which I have a very protective mom. So, I mean, even if you don't believe me,
Checks out, makes sense, and I would hope that's true.
it's not absurd to believe that my mom wouldn't have knowingly let her teenage son hire a registered sex offender. Like, that just doesn't even, like, in what world does that even make sense?
Yeah,
it's like that just, I mean, that's not even rooted in reality. So, but yeah, it's just an unfortunate thing that happened. Not that this, I take accountability. Yes, if I could go back in time, I would tell teenage me, hey, you're supposed to do background checks. 19-year-old me, he stared at retention charts all day. He obsessed over YouTube videos. He didn't know anything about running a business. Like, I can't fully put myself in the mind of me 7 years ago, but I'm sure teenage me also thought, like, hey, Best Buy's worth tens of billions of dollars in a big corporation. Like, they also didn't do background checks. And, like, I probably thought, like, oh, I'm hiring from this big business. It's probably fine. You know what I mean? Or maybe I didn't put much thought into it because I was just making videos. But regardless, we do background checks now, and we do these
Good.
things. And it's just an unfortunate thing. But I just for context, though, just to give to a lot of people listening, like, or watching, I called after that stuff came out, too, because I was just curious. I called, like, I don't know the exact number, maybe like 2 dozen YouTubers. And I asked them, like, do you guys do background checks? And I think like a dozen of those YouTubers have like more than 10 employees. And literally only 2 of the like 24 YouTubers I called do them. Like 6 of them were like, I don't know how to do a background check. You know what I mean? And they all had employees. So like, I do, not that I'm not trying to deflect anything or whatever. I'm just trying to give context. Like, it's like, it is a little much to just think that 19-year-old me was just supposed to know that and have this knowledge. But, and it's unfortunate. And like I said,
Yeah, and to be fair, I keep saying that you're the guy. Back then, you weren't the guy.
I was not the guy.
So
I was calling what I had back then a company was would be generous.
That was the bully. You were the bully.
That was the boy. And but yeah, now I have hundreds of employees. We obviously have rigorous standards for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and to speak on that as well, we do background checks for everyone who works at our we have 2 a video game development company and a candy company. Obviously, both those background checks. But my YouTube channel,
I love the word candy. I love how Americans say it. Candy.
Did you background check this guy?
Nope, I've known him for 7 years.
Okay.
Now on to Jake Weddle.
Yes.
All right, another guy.
An entire dog pack video.
Yeah, dude.
Wow, I didn't know Jake Weddle came up in this. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a Jake Weddle. Like, I look at him and Dogpack so separately. You know what I mean? So separately. I think they're so different.
Also has a mustache as well. I'm not sure if you know. There's an interview with a former employee and contestant named Jake Weddle in which he alleges inhumane treatment on set, even war crimes. Use the turn of phrase war crimes. How do you respond to these allegations, and do you plan on putting procedures in place?
Well, the war crimes thing was, in a sense, could be interpreted as a joke as well. But what he was put through, I mean, is what he was put through.
Make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Glad I can talk about this one. So I think I should set the floor because maybe not everyone here fully even knows what the challenge was or anything. So yeah, I think it would make sense to. So for the Weddle video, Jake Weddle was the person who competed in one of my videos. The video was we built a room in our studio, and then the challenge was every day you live in this room, you win $10,000. And then it was like kind of like a white padded room. There's like a pool table, a bed in there, bunch of other items.
A white padded room.
Let me just gather my thoughts on this one. How do I want to say? I think the best way to talk about this is to also talk about how we did similar videos with other people. Because one of the things is like multiple people can do the same thing and experience it differently. That's what's a little tricky about these like contestant-based videos. I can never know 100% how something's going to affect someone, right? So similar to the Weddle video, I just want to lay the foundation before we go in specifically to that. Similar to that, we also did a video where we put 2. Did you see the video where we put 2 people in a room, Bailey and Susie, 100 days trapped together? So one thing that Weddle struggled with was the lights being on, and he mentioned that in the video. But Bailey and Susie, on day 20 of 100 Day Trap together, I offered to turn the lights off for part of the prize pool, and they said no. And like the lights wasn't, I mean, I'm sure it was difficult, but it wasn't like that big of a difficulty for them. And so it's like something for them that's not that big of a difficulty. For other people, can be challenging and hard. And like what I'm trying to say is you never know how someone's going to react to something, right? It's impossible to fully predict. And so that's one of these variables of these challenges, which is why we give people the ability to quit, or to leave at any point. And so in his video, he went 11 days, $110,000. Right? I believe it was 11 days. Yes. And then he decided to quit on that day. And, he mentions this in his video, like around day 11 or 12. I don't know what the day is off the top of my head, but he was struggling. And so we did turn off the lights. We sent a psychiatrist in there to check in on him. And we were like, yeah, he's not doing too well. And we ended the challenge. And we paid him. Didn't go long enough where we got a video, so we didn't end up uploading it. But I think the big thing is just that's why we allow people to leave these challenges. Like my goal when doing these obviously isn't to like, break people mentally or push them past their limits. It's just to like create an environment where they can challenge themselves and do something interesting or cool. And then when they've had it, like leave. You know what I mean? So I guess that's kind of how I would describe it. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on what I'm saying?
I think that makes sense. It's important to note that it's also voluntary.
It's a voluntary challenge. You can leave at any
paid
point.
Exponential amounts of money.
Yeah.
And after all that stuff came out, and he sort of made the claims of how he was mistreated, et cetera. You reached out to him after the fact as well.
Yeah. I mean, now that I didn't want to bring that kind of stuff up, but yeah, also off camera after he made the video, I reached out and was like, hey man, like obviously we weren't trying to cause you any mental stress with that video or anything, and is there any way I can help? And I ended up he seemed like he really needed some financial help, so I ended up sending him $50,000 completely off camera or anything. I mean, he talked about it publicly so people know, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure he was good.
Oh wow, you took money from MrBeast after all that stuff you said? Yeah, this money Is this $50,000? Well, first of all, you're going to tax it. So let's say it's more like $30,000.
Yeah, I mean that's good. That's good. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's to me that one's interesting because it's just a sort of a voluntary challenge and it's difficult to it's a very YouTube thing, right? It's a very YouTube thing. And the comparison of that to like war crimes, fairly tone deaf.
Yeah,
right? To compare it, like that's a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can move on from that. To be honest, there was litigation.
Again, the war crimes thing can very much so just be read as a joke between employees talking shit.
Against you surrounding Beast Games, your show on Amazon.
Beast Games.
Workplace conditions and a bunch of talk of,
I saw a trailer for Beast Games just came out today, so they're moving ahead with it.
Videos and images and everything being sent to documentaries and all this shit coming out in regard to the Beast Game show on Amazon. What is the litigation that?
Yeah. Well,
against
you know how litigation is. Obviously, I'm not allowed to talk about it, which is a little. There's a lot of things I want to say here, so this is good.
He's changed the leg that's up. He's given us a little bit of variety.
Trying to think specifically on the lawsuit that so for context, if people have 5 anonymous Beast Game employees or not employees, 5 anonymous Beast Game contestants submitted a lawsuit. And
We've covered it.
sent it to the press, but conveniently all the actual claims are redacted, blacked out, so you can't actually see it. And I'm not allowed to disclose what's behind those black lines. But Beast Games, we had 1,000 people. We were doing big stuff, and just like with my normal videos, I'm not trying to say everything went great. One thing that happened when we were filming one part of Beast Games is you remember CrowdStrike? That was pretty brutal. We had the most contestants of any game show in history together. That was weirdly, God hates me, during the CrowdStrike accident. And so as we're eliminating hundreds of people and trying to get them home, airports all across America are down, hotel room keys aren't working, and that created a lot of confusion and that caused a lot of problems.
We covered this as well.
Pretty brutal. And they're I'm not trying to just disavow everything, you know what I mean? There was one woman who, when we were filming, we had obviously tons of feminine care products and stuff like that, but there was one woman who was allergic to the feminine care products, and we didn't have allergen-free ones, like tampons and pads, and she told someone, I don't know who she told, I haven't been able to find it, but I believe that she did, that she was allergic, and they didn't obviously do the logical thing, which is tell us or just drive to a local Walmart and buy some and give it to her, and so she wasn't able to get feminine care products in a reasonable time, which is unacceptable. So I learned a lot of little things
Okay, so there was one of the really biggest allegations, which was that they were restricting people of their sanitary products like tampons and pads. What he's saying is that the person was not able to use the ones that they had, and that the person that they told didn't do the right thing of going out and getting them. So there we have the other perspective. I still think it's stuff that should have been figured out beforehand, Doesn't change that fact.
like that. But I think in general, a lot of it's just been blown out of proportion. People have claimed we didn't use unions because they didn't want to pay people fair money, when that was just a flat out lie. We did use unions, and that there are dozens of broken bones, and which is crazy to think that I'd be 10 people broke their bones. Let's keep filming. You know what I mean? That doesn't even make sense. After that claim came out, we literally called 1,950 contestants of the 2,000. We couldn't get hold of all 2,000. I couldn't find a single broken bone. Yeah, online it's being claimed there's dozens. I mean, there's so much or even disinformation like that being spread. So which makes it hard for me to just come out talk about things like the pad thing and other things where we did mess up on little things, and there are definitely things we could have done better. But then there's just it's mixed in with all these crazy outrageous claims, and it's just so.
What about you not paying people?
I mean, we did, but yeah, that's something people like to leave out. We gave everyone who showed up. You could literally show up and then a second later leave and receive $2,000, which with 2,000 contestants, that's $4 million.
Yeah.
And we told everyone they were going to get $0. This is something this is the damn if you do, damn if you don't. So we told everyone, no guaranteed money if you show up. I'm glad you asked this. No guaranteed money if you show up. You could walk away with $0. But then I wanted to surprise everyone. Gave them each $2,000, $4 million, which is a lot of money. I could have gone and just bought a mansion instead of doing that. But what's even crazier is then people tried to, not the contestants, but the internet, their theories, tried to frame that as hush money. I gave them all $2,000 to make them happy because we weren't we didn't tell them beforehand, to surprise them as they got eliminated. And then people were you just did that because of hush money.
Okay, so again, we have his perspective. We have people saying that he's trying to pay people off for their bad experiences if they leave early, that they get money. He's saying that he just wanted to surprise people with money. Whose side are you on? It's up to you.
What does that even mean? I also didn't give them legal paperwork tied with it. That says it was just completely baseless. It just shows how crazy people go with conspiracy theories and everything like that. But no, we did pay everyone $2,000, and on top of that, we gave away more money than any competition show in history. I mean, we had the largest cash prize in history, on top of millions upon millions upon. Throughout the show, we literally give away 8 figures, tens of millions of dollars. So it's I do all this, and normal competition shows don't even pay anyone except for the grand prize. Mm-hmm. So it's just once again, it's funny because people actually.
So again, he's saying basically it was from the goodness of his heart, surprising people with this money. Other people are saying that it was money to give people to not talk about bad experiences on set. Do with that what you will. Now we have his side, we have other people's side. So, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of wild shit. Wild shit. How do you feel after all this stuff? This is the first time you've been able to really speak in a broad, sweeping way about all the allegations and everything negative that's happened over the last couple months. What are What do you think your biggest mistakes were over the last 4
You
months?
already know what I'm about to say. We've hit it a couple of times. I wish right after we dropped the results of that investigation, I could talk a couple weeks ago. Honestly, I wish I just instantly did this. Sorry, I have a little bit of cold. The thing is, I've just never been in a controversy like this before. So I just, I mean, this isn't even a controversy. This is like 100 controversies.
Yeah.
So truthfully, I just was just ignorant on how to handle these kinds of things. And so it's been a good learning experience for me. I definitely realized like me just sitting on a couch, addressing a camera on serious things, like just not
Hear that, David Dobrik?
trying to figure out how to, not just be weird. I like this more like conversational where you can also ask follow-up questions and it feels a little more real. You know what I mean? And like, it's just, so in the future, I'll probably like, if there's stuff like this, I'll probably just do something like this. You know what I mean? Or not. I don't know. If people throw out much more basis claims, I also don't want to set the precedent where every time I have to come on here. So, give or take. But
He went, I want to do this in future. Or not.
Yeah, and I think it's something that's really important to note as well. People are going to be like, well, he's media trained, he's got a PR team, he's a genius, he's going to walk circles around you, he's going to manipulate you, he's the Antichrist, he's the fucking devil horns guy. But like, I'm asking questions that my team and I wrote based on information that's publicly available, and the assumption is after this, you're going to send receipts to back up any additional questions we have in the post process. So that's what's huge. Like, I'm not trying to like debate necessarily.
I mean, there were definitely a couple things you asked me that I'm a little uncomfortable with. Like,
I can tell. Yeah,
I was. But yeah, I mean, if that's what the internet wants.
But also, Oompa has covered MrBeast in a derogatory way as well, of calling him out for things that he deserves to be called out for. And he's also interviewed Dogpack. So
I just want to give them what they have, so I can just wake up and obsess over making the best videos possible and that kind of stuff. Like I used to in the good old days, aka 4 months ago.
the good old days.
What I want people to, because I guess since you're winding things down, I just want to make very clear though, like I'm not perfect, and I don't want people to think I'm trying to give up this impression. You can't criticize me. There are things I've done in my life you can criticize me for. It's just this whole last couple months is a little unfortunate because they're like these things where sure I do deserve criticism, but then it's shrouded by these other disinformation. All these things are just being stretched and blown out of proportion and things like that. So
God, he loves saying disinformation.
I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. Even though I've done this, like this thing here, and we're addressing a lot of things, like I'm sure in the future I'll make more mistakes as well. Like that's just the nature of, you really have to just put yourself in the position of like, we're doing things I've never been done before. I'm like, who's even built a company this large on YouTube? Like everything I'm doing from the videos to the spectacles to the building the companies, it's
Watch this space.
really never been done before. And your boy is going to make mistakes. And, one thing I hope my track record shows is when I become aware of mistakes, I do everything in my power to try to fix them. You know what I mean? And I hope that's what my track record shows, and that's what I hope people take away from it. Not that I'm like perfect or I never did anything wrong. That's just like, yeah, I mess up, and when I do, I try to fix it.
And if you had like a final message for critics and fans, what would the final message for critics be?
I think honestly what I just said there. I mean,
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. And then your people who still, I guess there's not really they don't know about any of this stuff. So your fans, they don't really care.
Yeah, I'd love to see what they think of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we hit everything. I mean, you hit the Delaware thing because I saw that a lot, and I feel pretty good about it. There's nothing where I'm like, oh, we didn't hit this. Like, I think this should give people the answers they're looking for, and I feel better doing it.
Even the soggy stuff today, I mean, that's about as fresh as it gets in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, just throw it up. Just upload this thing raw. Just throw it up there. Get this turned around before something else drops. It's like, oh, why did they talk about that?
Good point. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
That sounds good.
I'm gonna show on episode 1 of Beast Games.
Okay.
December 19th. I'm kidding. Is that an inappropriate way to end it?
I feel like that's pretty.
Not the promo at the end.
MrBeast build. The last part was completely wrong. We did miss a few questions, and I called Jimmy the next morning to get clarification on a few more things, specifically Ava Shadman and some more of the crypto allegations. Here's that footage. We'll talk a little bit about Ava Tyson and specifically the Shadman stuff. I know we talked about the third-party investigation.
Love this outfit.
No wrongdoing in like a legal sense from that perspective. A thing that a lot of people care about is Shadman's a fucking freak and is a disgusting person. Did you know about the painting in? Did you know about that? Have you ever interacted with Shadman before? Like, what is your relation to that, and specifically that relationship between Shadman and Ava Tyson and you?
Yeah, no, that's actually a good follow-up question. So this is what it was like. I don't remember these 7, 8 years ago. Back then, I used to have like a bunch of anime posters up on the wall. I'm just like set a foundation for context. We used to have a bunch of anime posters and things like that on our wall in the house. And one day, Ava put up this poster that was like an animated character holding a fidget spinner and a gun. Admittedly, it's a weird image. I didn't know who made it. I just kind of assumed it was a meme. I obviously did not know who Shadman was. I've never spoken with Shadman. I did not buy the poster or commission it or anything. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, I didn't really think too much of it because we just had like a lot of anime posters and things up, and it was an animated character that was clothed, obviously. And yeah, knowing what I know about Shadman now, it was a very weird thing to buy. I'm not really sure why she bought it, to be frank. And yeah, I mean, I wish I could give more details. I mean, this was so long ago. Obviously, I don't know the like exact thoughts going through my head, but I just remember, like, I agree, it is a little bit of a weird poster. But I also think like, I had like Naruto posters up, or I had like Code Geass posters, like random animes I used to watch, and like, I never like reverse image search and Googled, oh, who made this Code Geass anime poster that's sitting on the wall or whatever. I don't, I don't. Your first instinct when you just see a poster is not to just go, who made that, and deep dive themselves.
Yeah, are they pals?
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I agree. It's her buying it is very weird, and I obviously, if I had known what I know now, I would have been like, what the actual fuck.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I also, after all this stuff, I didn't know who Shadman was. I've heard of him a little bit on Twitter and shit. But.
Okay, again, this is, you know, now his perspective on everyone being like, why did you have that up in your, you know, house, and why did you have it up for so long and stuff? He's saying that Ava was the one who bought it, and he didn't question it because they had a bunch of other posters with like anime and that kind of style. So there we have now his perspective on this.
I didn't know, total ignorance there. So
I wasn't there. I don't know his mind. I can't.
That's fucked up. That guy is disgusting. And you know, people do care. It's like you've got pedo art, and you were saying you didn't know. That's yeah, it's disgusting. Fucking Shadman is a freak. So okay,
Yes. Fuck.
By Dogpack. But before that, you said that you DM'd some commentary guys or some YouTubers like evidence of like the Delaware stuff, basically context. And I just wanted to know. So you did reach out to me. We talked a little bit in the very beginning. You know, it wasn't like we were friends or anything like that. But it was very short, and like I just wanted to know why you didn't give me that stuff or provide me with any information when I was the biggest channel platforming Dogpack. I think that, you know, I would have taken it as my responsibility to I hope people, you know, would believe that I want to do what's true.
Not him clocking his teeth.
A situation. I don't just want to like shit on MrBeast for the sake of shitting on MrBeast. I just want to know why early on you didn't provide me I guess specifically, why wasn't that? Did you think I was a controlled op? You know, I would have gladly seen whatever.
Controlled op. I'm gonna start saying.
A great question. I mean, we did have a call. I called you after the videos, and I told you and explained to you a lot of things that weren't true. You're right. I didn't send you that Delaware photo. I guess I might not have even had that photo at the time, because I think I literally called you right after you posted. Yeah. But I did tell you a lot of things weren't true, and explain a lot of things. I mean, but yeah, agreed. I'm not throwing you under the bus. I didn't send you any full hard evidence. Maybe I guess
the divas are fighting again.
You did speak with him, and it did seem like, you know, you were going a little easy on him. So I guess I didn't fully know. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I did send it to people. Why I didn't send that to you? Honestly, I don't really know, to be honest.
Yeah, it's fair, and it's just, you know, because I would have appreciated it is all I'm saying, because like you know, in the very beginning, I did genuinely believe that, you know, I like the idea of whistleblowers. I think people should be able to criticize the guy. You're the guy. We said that a lot yesterday, and you did refute a lot of stuff, but there was just I didn't get any sort of evidence or anything like that. It's just I think it's a lot of you know, a lot of this mistake.
Yeah, I think in my head is I just called you, was like, hey, off the top of my dome, here's a bunch of things that aren't true, and then you just said, hey, you probably did say something along the lines of I need evidence, and then you know, at the time, that's where it's just like, it's all a blur. I don't even remember what days it was. Maybe back then was like when I was working on my response video or whatever. But agreed. Like I don't think you did anything wrong. Like I didn't send you like, oh, here's a doc of everything. You know what I mean? And then you just ignored it.
Right.
Yeah. So
I mean, no, you know, and I'm not trying to like guilt you or whatever. It's just you know, this whole thing is really crazy, and it seems like it's gone so far just because you know, you tried to do what was right, which is have a third party investigation, and like a lot of the stuff is just because like the information wasn't conveniently accessible to YouTube, which is like a really big problem in a weird way. It's like it was like you're suffering from trying to do it right, but also suffering from people not having convenient access to like just a doc or something, like a doc of information. Just so, I mean, I guess in the future, hopefully this, you know, anything that's disproven or that is not true, obviously is no longer propagated. And like everything else that is important is credible. But yeah, dude, I feel like in the future, if you've got evidence, show me or somebody, or just like a Google Doc. I mean, because you didn't
show Spillsash.
Anything like that. I've consistently mentioned that because I think it's really important, and I feel like there is a level of transparency you're operating with, which I respect. And you know, yeah, I feel like this wouldn't have been as bad earlier on if like that, you know, that's sort of the approach, which is tough. You've obviously never been through this, and this is not, you know, there's only one MrBeast. So yeah, it's just something I wanted to clarify, because, you know, you feel like I was manipulated, and I genuinely, and a lot of other YouTubers as well, I'm sure, commentary guys probably don't feel like they're manipulated. It's just a drastically different perspective. You know, you are MrBeast, so it's tough to say, not to you know, say I deserve the benefit of the doubt or whatever. I absolutely should have researched more. But once again, it's a bigger problem, I feel like, that I think hopefully will be mitigated more in the future by this all coming out, and hopefully how transparent this video that I'm making right now with you is.
Yep, all fair points.
Cool. Okay, so now a little bit more on the crypto stuff. I know I talked about CoffeeZilla a little bit yesterday. He's awesome. I think he does really good work on YouTube, and he holds people accountable.
I mean, it's a 100th biggest coin. It seems to be doing really well. So
Can't. I'm done. I'm fucking done. 2.5 hours. I'm tapping out the last 10 minutes. I'm fucking tapping out. I cannot do it. You would have to pin me down to this chair for me to sit for any longer and hear about fucking crypto. I'm done. I'm tapping out. I gave him 2.5 hours. You know what? A lot of it I completely agree with and see his perspective, and a lot of other things is just open to interpretation or just hearing his perspective. And some things as well I still have problems with. But I'm done. No more. Cannot do it anymore. Can't do it. Can't do any more on crypto. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. I'm fuck crypto stuff. I'm so done. Whenever I had to cover it a couple days ago, fucking bane of my life. Hate covering crypto stuff. I do not get it. It makes me feel incredibly dumb. It pisses me off. You'll not find that here. I'm done. Anyways, I'm actually surprised that a lot of people were messaging me and being like, you know, Oompa's being walked all over and like he doesn't speak up and all like this. And I'm like, well, I mean, when it allowed, he did, or when it made sense, he did. I actually think he did a pretty good job with this. I'm actually quite impressed by this. Obviously, there's a lot of issues I still have with the way things were handled in this, but I think overall it's a lot better than what I was expecting. All right. Well, I will love and leave you all. Again, just a little shout out that if you buy tickets to London or Dublin, that you will get signed art card. Just Jesus, that you'll see there's ones to go. That you will get that in the mail. Just send me confirmation that you're coming. Tickets on sale for all the other ones. Muckers, I love ya. I'm gonna leave ya. I'm gonna go do my grocery shopping at, oh my god, 10:20. I said it was gonna be done by 10:30. Maybe it would have been if I did the crypto stuff, but I'm done. All right. Hope you're all doing well. I will see y'all very soon. Just one last moment for the little kitties. Love. Which one do I vibe with most? Probably this one. It reminds me of Tyler. Love. Bye, divas.